What's up, everybody? That was some Jazz Dog. Shout out to Jazz Dog. So to be clear, Banana Brains, Jazz Dog doesn't actually make any music for me, or at least I haven't commissioned any music from him. I just bought one of his albums and I play it at the beginning of the show. So I financially supported his music and I provide advertising every time I do my show. So I feel like there's some of it a trade-off. He did say that it was okay to play his music on stream, and then I was like, oh, well, that's really kind. I'm gonna go ahead and buy it. But yes, hello. We've got the YouTube chat. We've got Mosh and Dali and Mabs and Quantum Chaos, who's probably going to be back later. Also, Sapphic Hazard with a consensual platonic lick. Yeah, I am. I was just thinking, like, obviously I've set this up to have a particular framing, but like I'm only this tall. But I'm also like not gonna step any further away from my desk. But I was just thinking, like, what if I just did the show from like this angle instead? That makes my monitor so low. But then you get to see more of the fit. You know? I'm trying to decide. I'm having a hard time figuring things out. But there we go. It's back at the normal height. You see, I've got my bobcat skull. I decided to go ahead and put it right over here. I moved some of the little teeny tiny bottles around. I moved that one dragon, and I haven't decided what to do with him yet. Where is he? Oh, he's up on top of my PC tower right now, but I was kind of thinking maybe I could like find a way to stick him to the wall over here where he's like, I don't know, if it's going to look like he's climbing. I don't know. I'm constantly moving things around in here, mulling things over. I don't know if you've noticed, but I actually moved my entire desk. I cleared out the chair that was over here, and now my guitar's over there. And I moved my entire desk, and I don't think it makes any difference to you guys, but it makes a difference to me. And then there's the website chat, which I totally didn't even say hello to until just now. There's Drea, who's going to get a pizza and come back. Viren, dreary weather day. Oh, no. What's up, Cursed Chaos? Mabs is also on the YouTube chat. Or sorry, yeah, from the YouTube chat, also on the website chat. I'm finding the weather where I am pretty good. Early clouds and rain before I even woke up, and highs in the 70s with light clouds. Ooh, we're having some overcast here in the valley, and it is, I think, supposed to like thunderstorm this weekend, which I'm so excited about. The temperatures are supposed to plummet, and it might thunderstorm a little bit, and I'm just like, I hope it's fun. It's going to be good. I love it when it rains. I moved up here for that, and the wet season is almost over. Thank you, Andy. Andy says the pics you posted earlier didn't do justice to the corset. It looks a lot better live. Well, yeah, I mean, it's like I'm so close to the... It's like, can I move this further out so that you can actually see it? And then now I'm way over here. Whoa, my boom arm does not like that angle. Good lord. Needs to be tightened up again. I cannot reach it to tighten it from where I am now. Gee, mini Christmas. Alright, well, whatever. This is what we're working with. Oh, no. That's not nice. ACAB includes Tone Police. They say I like this background much better than the one with the stupid recurve bow. The only reason the recurve bow is not in the background of the video is because I don't have my 3D printer set up. Because what I want to do is put it up on the wall. Like up here. Or like this. Like, whoop. The other way. Like this. Listen. I like being a huge nerd. You don't have to like that about me, but I like being a huge nerd and having cool stuff like a recurve bow in my office. Mean. It's gonna be, oh my gosh, gonna be 95 degrees, Banana Brains. No, yeah, we had a couple days up here where it was that hot. And it's like, oh my god, it's June. And then, yeah, apparently in this part of the world, the dry season is about to start here in July, although we are already seeing wildfires. We're already seeing wildfires. I like seeing how much overlap there is between chatters from Lux, Riverboat Jack, and Dead Domain. Nice. put me in a bow. Well, you're gonna have to ask somebody else for that. I'm not equipped. I'm too sad lately. I'm having erectile dysfunction. Ah. Okay, well that fixed part of the problem. Okay. Oh my god, 108 degrees? Where do you live? Hell? Like... Compound bow forever. Listen, whatever. You can take the easy way out. It's perfectly acceptable for you to do that. My partner did say, when I was trying to get my hunting license and everything in Kansas, he was like, we did pick like the nerd version of bow hunting. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Going with like an older medieval style, of course. Of course it's fucking the nerd way to do it. That's what I would like about it. I like being a weird little guy. I came up with this great idea, which is, you know, I'm having a hard time with exercise. I think I really overdid it. I was really like, boom, like really trying to work out and like strength lifting and stuff. And I think it was just like too much on my body because I had a lot of symptoms. And I've been like, okay, I'll use the pedals in the morning, like before I even leave the bedroom. I've got the little foot pedals that I do. But I also realized that, so I was practicing with my gun recently. It's not loaded or anything. I was just like cycling it effectively, like, you know, like just aiming and messing with the slide and like practicing having a steady hand when you pull the trigger and everything. And that is such an intense like shoulders thing, because it's like, you know, it's my pistol, so I'm holding it out in front of me, and it really was like my shoulders were like burning slightly. And so I'm like, okay, that's a way that I could technically kind of work out, but in a practical way where it's like, this is actually doing something for me. And then I thought similarly with the bow, I could string my bow and do exercises that are just like, and then even do it on my wrong hand just for the sake of like getting some amount of like, it's like not just working out, but like working out to do the thing that you want to do specifically. We'll get temps in the 100s in the Willamette Valley, but we're not there yet. No, yeah, I'm assuming that that's not going to happen until much later. I also, one thing that I really appreciate here is that it goes away. It's like once it starts getting up into the 90s in Kansas, it just is that way for like the next month or two. You can just expect that it's going to be like that. And it only cools down into like the 70s at night, versus here where the 90-degree days, there might be like 2 in a row, followed by a day that's like 88. And then it'll be 77. And then you're like, okay, this is a lot more tolerable. And the entire time, even on the 90-degree days, it is dropping into the 60s at night. So it's kind of nice. There's so much more variety to the summer when it's not like, oh, I can't leave the house all week unless I leave early in the morning. Oh no, it's only 65 and I am V-warm. No. Sad. Yeah, Bowflex, classic style. Exactly. Yeah. Underrated joke, Sapphic Hazard. That's I'm not like laughing enough for how clever that was. You know what I mean? It didn't quite hit my laughter buttons, but I think it's an underappreciated pun that you just made. Oh, 108 degrees in Las Vegas. It's terrible. I don't like that. It's blue tea again. I think that this one is a little bit less blue because the top of the tea bag had like a concentration of some of the blue flowers in it, and this one has like fewer of the blue flowers in it. But man, oh my God, I love goofy tea. I'm almost at a point of mixing my expensive teas together because I have this blue one that I just got, and you know, it's got like elderflower, blue lotus, jasmine, lavender buds, that kind of thing. And I really was tempted when I made this tea to split it. Well, it definitely is more pale today. It's also in a black mug. And I put heavy cream in it, so yeah, obviously that does it too. And I have this other tea that's a lavender chai that, obviously has like lavender, cardamom, like some various things like that. And I really did think about adding some of that this time just to give it a little bit more of like a spiciness. Yes, I am drinking bantha milk. I made that observation to my partner. Um, he was like, "Oh, that looks cool. It looks like a," what did he say? He said it looks like a blended up Smurf. And I was like, "Yeah, it's giving Star Wars." And he was like, "Oh yeah, it kind of is." I actually didn't say it's giving Star Wars because I don't really talk like that to my partner. But I was like, "Yeah, it reminds me. It's very Star Wars. It's very Star Wars." Hello, Uncomfy. Welcome in. By the way, everybody, if you haven't hit the like button, I would appreciate it. I'm here trying to make enough money to pay for groceries this week because that's my job in my house is I pay for the groceries and I make the dinners. So more likes equals more donations. I know it's like a jump in logic, but the thing is that YouTube immediately shows the show to more people when you hit the like button, which means more people come in here. And the more people are in here, the more likely somebody has $5 that they want to give me. See? Direct through line. That's why you hit the like button. It's like, especially if you can't donate, which I completely understand. Hitting the like button is like, oh, here's how I can get the other thing to happen by me doing something that's free. Big brain moves. Sapphic says the only blue drink I've ever enjoyed was a drink signature to an event I ran. The drink was called Viagra. It glowed bright blue in blacklight. Ooh, I enjoy that. I used to go to an event every year called Convergence. It is a sci-fi con in Minnesota, but the blog network that I wrote for at the time had like a semi-official presence there. Like there were a whole bunch of actually science-oriented panels and speakers that you could go see. Obviously, like at a sci-fi con, you usually do like, there are panels where like, oh, here are some authors of the comic that might talk about this, or, you might be able to go to a signing and that kind of thing. But so a lot of the panels at this con are like science oriented, or were at the time at least. I don't know what it's like now. But it was also, I don't think they do this anymore, but there used to be like party rooms. So like in the main part of the hotel, so like there's all these different parts of the hotel. In the main part of the hotel, there was like this big courtyard in the middle and all the rooms on the sides, and the rooms had balconies. And obviously like in the middle there's like a swimming pool and everything, but what you could do is you could go, I think it was the first and second floor, where you could basically make a circuit around and go into all these hotel rooms that had been rented out by groups. Like different people had different, like Skepchick and Freethought blogs each got a room and they were connected to each other, so you could go back and forth. And one of the things that we did was you could serve alcohol. I don't think you can anymore, at least, and not at that hotel. Oh, later, Mosh. Bye-bye. But we would do glow-in-the-dark drinks, and sometimes it would be like as part of a science presentation of like, yeah, come in. And it was free, basically. It was just free shots. You could make the circuit. Of course, everybody's probably like, not putting a lot of alcohol in it because you're aware that you can like, that people are going to be drinking a shit ton. So whatever. It was the first time I ever tried a dirty martini, was at this convention. But yeah, that's just a little fun thing. Like there would be a little, let me show you why this is fluorescent, like, oh, we're mixing this with this, with this. Here's your alcoholic beverage. It was just a lot of fun. That's the first time I've thought about Convergence in a way that didn't make me sad in a really long time. That's fascinating. I have a lot of bad memories associated with Convergence as well. So like you're at a con and everyone's learning particle physics. I mean, it would be more like, what is the plausibility of certain sci-fi things? Or like, oh, what was One of the panels that I went to that had a huge amount of participation was a panel that was about the female orgasm and speculating whether the female orgasm evolved on its own or if it only exists because the male orgasm evolved for the purposes of, ejaculating and sexual reproduction for that reason. And it was a debate where like part of the panelists were like, I support the idea that the female orgasm is kind of an evolutionary accident, versus people arguing that the female orgasm serves an evolutionary purpose and therefore evolved independently, if that makes any sense. Which is weird because it's like you're treating males and females of the same species as though they have like separate evolutionary pressures. I don't know. It was like, in retrospect, it's kind of weird, but that's what I mean. Those are the kinds of conversations we had. And that shit was so fun. I was a panelist. Well, I mean, like, I can't remember. I was on a panel once called Breaking into YouTube, and it was basically just like talking about like how can you get started in YouTube. Can you imagine me like what year is it? When was the last time I went to Convergence? I think okay, so it was probably like 2015 when I was at that Breaking into YouTube panel, which was fully 10 years ago. That can't be right. Maybe it was 2016, but that's still 9 years ago. Jesus Christ. So basically a decade ago, I was on a panel called Breaking into YouTube. I did other ones too that made more sense for me to be on. I also like moderated a panel once where I was like, I'm not an expert on this, but I'm going to ask the questions and keep the conversation on track and everything. But yeah, it was really interesting. Not the code switching at home. I know. I don't talk to my husband using like queer language most of the time. It's the thing about being married to a cis. My wife and I met at a convention now gone called YowieCon. Exactly what it sounds like. I'm happy for you. That's wonderful. Did I hear heavy cream in tea? Every time Lux mentions a beverage, I question, is that normal and sane? Okay, so I use a very small amount of heavy cream, or it would be called double cream if you're in the UK, in my tea. And the reason is because I had a container of heavy cream that I was trying to use up. So I just basically put like a splash in there because obviously you're getting more cream per cream than if you were just putting in milk. So I just do like a very small amount of heavy cream, like less than a tablespoon, and then honey in my tea. And that's just how I like it. I mean, I am open to trying things in other ways. I just still have heavy cream that I'm trying to get rid of. So Silent, hello. Mwah. My dear, good to see you. Cream / milk and tea is fine. Yeah. I think that it's just that people assume if you're going to put anything in tea, it's going to be milk. And so I think the cream, like heavy cream, kind of throws people off. IDK how I feel about talking about why things evolve. The answer is mostly because it didn't kill off the gene pool. Yeah, I mean, I kind of see there being an intellectual curiosity about like what evolutionary pressures cause things to happen. Like, why do some species have bigger penises than other ones? Just on the same kind of line as like the female orgasm. Was it like, why did it evolve? But I do think it's interesting to think about, why, like what evolutionary pressures, like by that, yeah. But when I say why did something I have evolve, what I'm really asking is like what evolutionary pressures could have influenced the development of that characteristic. If that, like obviously I'm using a shorthand that could be misinterpreted because sometimes a why question includes a question of like intent, where obviously I understand that evolution doesn't have like an intent purpose behind it. Quantum Chaos, hello. No, you haven't missed anything exciting. I was just sharing about a convention I used to go to. I can't imagine. I'm like, I don't know if I would ever go to a big convention like that again because I am super like the fact that it was just normal. You would go home from a con and you would be like, "Oh, I got con crud." Why was that normal? Like, why did we just treat it like it was normal to get sick after a convention? It seems like that should not just be something that we're willing to accept. But also, I guess it makes sense because previously there wasn't like an airborne version of AIDS, you know? I don't love the presumption that, or the presupposition that evolution has purpose in as much, yeah, as result. Totally, yeah, I got you. I don't mind the speculation, but it isn't anything to hang your hat on. Yeah, absolutely. I don't miss getting sick at cons or sleeping like 20 plus people in a hotel room. My partner and I usually could afford to have our own hotel room. That's like, I guess, one of the nice things about, you know, being a couple where one of you is a cis man and you don't have any children. It's fine to speculate on these things. However, it is also best practice to throw spoiled produce at evolutionary psychologists. Yeah, Evo Psych is very funny to me. Hello, kitty. Ooh, yes, mowing. Mowing so that the baby can be mobile in the yard. Love it. Love it. Took a while to get to a point where my wife and I could afford our own room. And these days I'm old. Fuck sharing my hotel room with people. Yeah, no, that would be crazy. Trying not to cut too many dandelions. I think leaving several thousand should be okay. You know, probably. I've seen one of the great things about plants and evolutionary pressure is that a lot of I've seen like in cities lots of dandelions that have just learned to stay below a certain length. And by learned, I mean obviously like the ones that were sending their flower up high, which normally is an evolutionary advantage for these flowers so that the wind can more easily catch and spread their seeds. Instead, they were getting cut off. So the only ones that were able to seed and spread are the ones that are short. So when we went to the Renaissance Festival this weekend, there were, I don't think it was the same dandelion as is everywhere else because I don't know. It seemed like it must have been a different species because it was much taller. Not the leaves, but the flowers were much taller, and the stem of those flowers was like smaller and like harder a little bit than the usual ones that I see with that are a little bit thicker of a stem. That they're also fuzzier. Other dandelions that I've seen, their like stems are fuzzier. So this one I was like, that would be so perfect to make a flower crown out of. Like, it was like they were over a foot tall, most of them. So I'm like, oh, could you just imagine like braiding one of those together? That would be fucking lit. I didn't do it, but you know, I could have. Over the period of time that we were in line, I definitely could have just been like taking all these flowers, taking all of them, making them into a flower crown. Boop. It's not what I did though. We grow some massive dandelions here. Yeah, my partner was also looking at a plant near I don't know, somewhere where he was, but he was like this flower, it looks like a giant dandelion. And we learned that it's a plant. Well, the locals that he asked about it said that it's a plant called salsify. And I could not find it in any of my books about foraging or anything or like plants or anything like that. So, but online I did read that apparently it does have a fibrous uh, root or like a tuber or something under there that is edible. So, yeah, they look like just fucknormous dandelions though. I only feel bad because the flowers were new and the bees love them. Yeah, but I mean, it's late enough in the season that there are other flowers besides dandelions for the bees, you know? Just, excuse me. Oh my gosh. Burpee. 37 people in here. Hello. Thanks for coming in and hanging out. I was like, let me be completely clear about what today's stream is in the title. Just chatting stream, meaning we're gonna talk about whatever. And a little bit of news, meaning I feel like there's no possible way for me to talk to you for 4 hours today without mentioning the Supreme Court absolutely fucking over trans people, trans kids specifically, by saying that we don't have unique 14th Amendment protections. So upsetting. I'm not going to get into it just yet, but like, I just wanted to at least acknowledge that and talk about it a little bit today. Nice earring. Thank you. It is a muskrat jawbone. Muskrat jawbone. I have one on the other side too. It's just under my hair. This is my bobcat skull bone. Don't I have such a nice little setup? Also, I put my Foxy up there because I couldn't figure out what else I wanted to put up there for now. So for now, it's Foxy. Yeah, we got gay and trans pride flags, Foxy from Five Nights at Freddy's, Lego Orchid, clear dragon, tinier clear dragon, tiny bottles, dragon egg that I 3D printed, bobcat skull, metal dragon that I technically built, tiny paper dragon that my friend folded for me, necklace that Mama Mephistopheles made for me. Oh, this is a rabbit fur that has a Rorschach that looks like a dragon flying. That's a dragon calendar. That's a cool banner that has moths and stuff on it. And those are some foxtails, or like two foxtails and one bobcat tail. That's what comprises the background at this moment. Quantum Chaos says, dandelion makes good tea. I agree, dandelion flower tea. Now that I know more about tea, in retrospect, dandelion tea was very good. I would like to try it again. You can also cook the dandelion stems like asparagus, and it's okay, I guess. Not as good as asparagus, but if you're starving to death and you have a frying pan and a yard full of dandelions, you'll be okay. The greens, dandelion greens, can be a salad. They're kind of a bitter salad, or you could cook them similarly to like collard greens, or you could even boil them if you wanted to. But yeah, the dandelion greens are edible. And then the root is also edible. I've heard that people will like roast the root and grind it so that you can make a beverage with it, and it's like an energy beverage. Like it probably just has a bunch of B vitamins in it or something. Dandelions are amazing. It's crazy that they're not a staple part of our diet anymore. I have said this so many times. I cannot stand the milky substance in dandelions. Isn't it only in their stems, or like primarily in their stems? But that's why people usually don't eat the stems. But I guess if you cooked it, like if you fry it in a frying pan, you can cook some of that out. I have no idea. I didn't know that the stems were edible until Quantum Chaos said so. It is in the roots and leaves too. Ah, bummer. Yeah, I wonder if it's just like people usually cook that out, because that's what makes it bitter, for sure. If you're making dandelion tea from the flower, you do want to make sure to get the green part off of the flower, because that part has the same bitter compounds in it. But always be careful when you're eating dandelion, because it does affect your blood pressure. I love a good like flower infusion tea. So good. So wonderful. I'm not trying to get stuck on tea and food today, but I mean, sometimes I just want to talk about like life's pleasures, and food is a huge one for me. Like food is a big deal for me. I like, in all truth and genuineness, I used to, okay, like if you went through the calendar and counted all the days of my life that I felt like I've wanted to die, it's probably like more than 7 years of my life. Um, and one of the things that got me through some of that was living for carnal pleasures. And one of them was food. I just was like, there are so many wonderful wines in the world. There's so many delicious fruits. Like, I lived for wonderful food. And that is kind of still something that helps me a lot. I think it's probably part of the reason why I cook dinner all the time, even though it is kind of exhausting. And like I've narrowed down the process to where it's like fairly streamlined. My cooking, it doesn't take a huge amount of time, and there's not usually a ton of cleanup. But it's still, I think it might still be serving that kind of purpose of being like, it's something to look forward to. And I know it's going to be good, and it's going to be a physical product of my labor, which is obviously something I don't often have, because my labor right now does not result in a physical product in the same way. It's like, oh, that's obviously like, oh, there's a video, I uploaded the video, I can see the metrics, I can see all the comments, but that is not exactly the same, as like, here's a physical product. Experience that physical thing by like tasting it or smelling it or whatever. Mango hibiscus herbal tea. Ah. Plumeria rose tea. Guys, I spent $20 on a fairly small bag of tea at the Ren Fair. That is where I'm at. I will spend ridiculous money on a good bag of tea. You said something about dry July. Yeah. I did. I posted on Blue Sky about doing a dry July. I drink more than I want to alcohol. And honestly, a lot of the reason is because my partner wants to drink more often than I want to drink, but I mean, obviously it represents a huge temptation. I have ADHD, so I have that tendency to end up in, I guess, like addictive cycles, or like I'm very vulnerable to like that urge to do substances when they're near me. So yeah, so it's really hard. I find it really difficult to not drink if someone around me is drinking. And obviously, like, it makes it more fun. I have a lot of anxiety, and it can make it easier to like chill and just enjoy an evening if I drink. So, but like it's too often, and I don't feel good about it, and I feel like it probably is making me feel bad. And if I'm trying to budget how much I'm eating, and I have all these fitness goals, or rather at this point it's diet goals. I don't really have any fitness goals right this second. But like I can't drink and meet like the protein goals that I'm trying to meet, and meet the calorie goals that I'm trying to meet. And I think it just is bad for me. It can make me more symptomatic with the illness that I have. So yeah, my plan is dry July, but in reality it's starting now. I'm just not going to call it dry June because it's already fucking halfway through June. So dry July, and it's starting early. I'm going to wait to drink until August. That's my goal anyway. I'm not infallible. I am a fallible person, and I am just going to try my best. I haven't discussed it with my partner. I didn't ask him to participate in it with me. So there's every likelihood that he will still be drinking, and I will just have to deal with that. I don't really plan on asking him to join me either. Yes, that's the thing, Dally, too. I do spend money on expensive tea, but that's like I'm spending at small businesses. At like businesses that say things on like I have a tea, one of my teas says like whispered dreams into it or something. I can't remember. It's like that at the very end of the list of ingredients, it says like whispered intentions or something, and that's the kind of shit that I buy. I need to plant a tea tree really badly. Ooh, yeah. I like plain green tea. It's easy to acquire. I went to the Asian market this week and I did get some. I got some green tea and some oolong tea from the Asian market. Just like some really inexpensive tea. I've never had oolong tea, so I was like, let me try that. Is oolong like a type of tea in the same way that green tea is? I mean, it maybe isn't green tea just baby tea buds before they've grown to a certain point, and then like is oolong just a totally different plant? What I'm trying to figure out is there caffeine in my oolong tea? Oh no, I'm jinxing. I keep saying dry July, and now I'm jinxing us to not have any rain all month. No. Tea may be expensive per ounce, but a little can go a very long way. Totally. I drink tea almost every day, and I still have a bunch of tea. I am not going to need to buy, like, I didn't need to buy the green tea and the oolong tea from the Asian market. I did that because I wanted to. It was inexpensive, and I was already at the Asian market, and I wanted to. So there are only 2 types of tea plants. All the varieties come from different processing methods. But I mean, like, some people will say, okay, basically what I was asking is if oolong tea is a type of herbal tea. Because, like, there are some people who are like, it's not even really tea unless the tea plant is present in there. So, okay, oolong tea is kind of between green tea and black tea, but it is a tea plant. Whereas, like, what I'm drinking right now, this is a bunch of flowers in a bag that I steeped and infused into this. There is no tea present here. But I am more of a utilitarian, and because cultures all over the world were steeping plants in water to make an infused beverage, like people were doing that on the island of Great Britain. And the Anglos and the Saxons, they were making nettle tea. So I'm more of the opinion that literally any like infusion that is consumed in this manner in this style is tea. But there are some people who are like, it's not even tea. So what I was trying to get at is oolong tea, or is it like a herbal infusion? Okay, oolong is made with the tea plant. They do add florals to oolong tea, and it can be an acquired taste. Okay. White, green, oolong, and black are all the same plant. Basically, the difference being in the prep and processing time. Okay, cool. Yes. Sapphic says, here in Las Vegas, dry July is just July for us. For the rain, not the liquor, of course. Yeah. Oh, Kitty, you're talking about not drinking? Not drinking isn't as hard as you think it is. Sorry, isn't as hard as you think as long as other parts of your life feel stable. For me, it was just stopping for a while, and then suddenly 2 beers gets me plenty buzzed, and I don't even feel like doing it monthly. It really is good having a not horrible relationship with alcohol. Yeah. Yeah. I have been experiencing some forms of conflict in my personal life that I have experienced as being very destabilizing. And I find that frustrating. I feel like I should be able to like still work, but like that's why I haven't posted the I Saw the TV Glow video yet. I watched it once, and that was my initial like, what is this movie? I did type some thoughts about it, but I was like, clearly I'm gonna have to watch this a second time. And I got how far into it? Hold on, I still have it open. Okay, I got like about a third of the way through the movie, and I haven't. So there's like an hour left in this movie, and I haven't been able to watch it this week because I'm having like this other issue that is really destabilizing and is making it hard for me to focus on other things. And so I like haven't made any progress on this review. And I don't think that it's going to come out this week at this point because I have to finish watching the movie. I've started taking way more notes the second time through than the first time because there's a whole lot in this movie to look at. And I'm going to record my reaction to it, and then I'm going to splice in clips and hopefully try to edit it in a way that is maybe a little bit more engaging. I'm probably going to have to, I'm going to even put like background music on it, which I normally do not do with my videos, but I'm really going to like increase the production value. So it's going to take a while, and it's not going to be ready until next week, which I'm a little bummed about. I wanted to do one video per week for Pride, but I saw the TV glow is just too, there's just too much. There's too much in it. It is really hard to like get it all in a concise way. It's going to take a little bit of workshopping. But yeah, that is to say, I was saying about Kitty earlier. I guess part of why I want to do Dry July is because I recognize that I am experiencing some level of instability in my life, and that is not helping. That like drinking alcohol it's maybe not actively making things worse, but it is not helping, and I think I would be probably better equipped if I just wasn't doing it for a little while. And because I know that times of instability can cause me to end up stuck in cycles with alcohol. So, yeah. Yeah, totally. Drinking a pot of potpourri. That is what I'm doing. I am drinking a cup of potpourri. Potpourri infusion. Getting blackout drunk on Southern Comfort ruined hard liquor for me. Yeah. Probably. Yeah, I can imagine that would happen. My Japanese and Chinese friends say that English tea is not tea, as it is not supposed to smell floral, and they say it feels like they are drinking perfume. I am so fascinated by the global tea culture and how it intersects and conflicts with itself. It's good times. Mm. I used to be something of a creative drinker long enough in nightclubs, and you start to experiment. I'm kind of happy those days are over. Yeah, we are aging. I don't think that I have a ton of like Gen Z people in my audience. I think it's mostly a bunch of people in their late 20s and early 30s into their 40s probably. I haven't looked at the age metrics in a little while. But yeah, it does not surprise me to hear that a lot of you are not out here getting crazy drunk anymore, or like you used to have a phase with it. I basically stopped drinking regularly when I started sleeping regularly. Fair. I wonder which direction that actually went, because, when you drink, it helps you fall asleep, but then it's also the reason why you wake up in the middle of the night, and that like degrades your sleep quality over time. So it's like stopping drinking means you're going to sleep better. But also if you just like go to bed earlier, then you don't have as much time to drink. So goes both ways. I'm 20 and not starting. Great idea. I have a 19-year-old in my life who is curious about things sometimes, and I'm like, listen, you probably have ADHD, and you don't even need to start with any of this. Like, don't go through a period of your life where you're like, I'm having trouble quitting doing something. Just don't start in the first place. You are vulnerable to addiction. What? I can't even pick you up during this stream. You'll put holes in my dress and I'll have to kill you. I dislike the feeling of being drunk. I'm a little weird that way. Understandable. I've heard people say that about all kinds of stuff. It's like, yeah, I've tried smoking weed, but I didn't like how it made me feel. And it's like, okay. There's no I totally think that it's great if you try something once and you're like, I don't like this. Like, cool. Okay, Sapphic said that the sleep made me stop drinking for sure because I started taking Seroquel. Within a month, that started me sleeping normally, and I had no desire to be awake after 10 p.m. Also, you're not really supposed to like mix sleep medication with alcohol, so yeah, I imagine it probably started with like, oh, I'm gonna take Seroquel and I'm not allowed to drink on the same night, so let me try just Seroquel, and then you're like, oh, I'm sleeping so much better. Are you okay, Mr. Baby? Stop! No, no claws. This is my steppy mat. No claws on my steppy mat. I learned different stats at a college event about all the ways that alcohol can affect your body, and I saw enough alcoholics in my family that I've only had a drink here and there. Yeah, I think that I'm kind of fortunate, I suppose, that like my entire family, the dysfunctional family, I shouldn't say my entire family. One side of my family was particularly dysfunctional, and that side of my family mostly just smoked a lot of weed. Um, Not a whole lot of drinking, or at least like not in a way that felt super dysfunctional. But I think that that's, I don't know if that's demographically true. It kind of seems like people who smoke weed don't drink as much. Oh yeah, back when you were in the club days, when you're a DJ, people just kind of hand you alcohol. Okay, fun. Wow. I'll drink cold beer at the end of the day. It can be nice, but I dislike the inhibition lowering part. Totally fair. My take on legalizing weed, I feel like we should decriminalize drugs. Um, Oregon did it. But so here, Oregon decriminalized drugs, and part of the law that decriminalized drugs also mandated that a certain amount of money needed to be spent on like rehabilitation services and things like that, and none of that happened. So basically what happened is that there was just a lot more public drug use, which made voters upset, and so then there was another referendum and the voters decided to criminalize drugs again. I think if we decriminalize drugs and we provide adequate funding for harm reduction for drug users, that would be a good thing. And if you decriminalize cannabis, then that means that we can do research and all of these claims of its medical efficacy can actually be put to the test, and we can figure out like, oh, what are the uses for this substance, and like how harmful is it actually? Because we don't know how harmful is it actually if we're literally not even allowed to conduct studies on it, which is the current situation. Interesting. Kitty says the most important thing to remember is that lung cancer is 4 times more prevalent among people who both drink and smoke. I assume you mean smoke cigarettes. And still almost as common among only drinkers. Alcohol has one exit from your body, and it is your lungs. Oh shit, I did not know that. Legalize weed, tax the fuck out of it, use the money to fund harm reduction and rehabilitation. Yeah, totally. I think that in Colorado what they did is they taxed cannabis, and that money goes to schools. Like that money goes to public schools, which I'm like, good. It's a luxury tax. That's fine. Luxury tax, and have that fund essential services. Good. That's what we should do. Hello, Tima. Tima says, what happened there with Oregon is a great case study on actual informed consent and the ways you can influence a population to make decisions that benefit you. Also, hi. Yeah, I've really started to think a lot more about manufactured consent. Obviously, the way that I think about it is more in terms of like COVID, and that like people are Like, you can do most of the things that you like. I just went to a Renaissance festival. It was a tightly packed event. It was sold out. So there were people everywhere. Yes, it was outdoors, but it was still like a really tight, lots of people in one place. I wore an N95 mask. I also had a betadine nasal spray, which is antiviral. It helps you not get sick. And I, so far, haven't been sick. So, like, why is it that I am able to do the things that I want to do and wear a mask, and everybody else doesn't care about wearing a mask? They just want to do the things that they want to do. Like, you could have gone back to going to concerts and shit without without dropping the mask, but you did. Maybe some of you here, maybe not. I don't know. There's 40 of you here. Why did you drop the mask? You know, why did anybody drop the mask? It's because you were told that you were not going to have long-term effects, and that it didn't matter if old people and disabled people died or could never leave their houses again. Like, for some people, they're so vulnerable that even wearing the N95, it like still is a huge risk for them to go out in public, so they just can't. You know, if everybody else is not wearing the mask, I just don't leave the house. That is, I mean, yes, that is what people do, but that's not okay. Like, we shouldn't just accept that. We shouldn't just be like, well, whatever, I just don't leave the house. In the same way that there are so many trans people right now who just don't leave the house because things are dangerous for them outside. And it's like, why? Cat Dad is here. Trans Cat Dad. I can't really breathe through an N95 with the asthma. My lungs don't have the power for it. Yeah. I'm sure there must be something else that could work. Like, I would encourage people to still try to find something, but you know, yeah, there are people who are like, I can't wear a mask for some other reason, and those people also deserve to go outside. Ooh, gonna be working on my car. What a badass masculine person you are. Mask for mask, working on your car. As a Chinese person, I hated COVID, not because of the virus, but the amount of hate against us. Yeah, people are really stupid. It's like the Spanish flu was called the Spanish flu, but it originated in like Kansas, actually. Yes, mask for mask. True. I do actually have one on my desk. I don't ever wear this one, but mask for mask. See? I also made myself a mask chain so that I can wear a little chain across it. I never wear that, mostly because I'm forgetful. Bleh. 42 viewers, 42 likes. Those are the numbers we like to see. I still suspect that somebody in here hasn't yet hit the like button, but you know, we're not gonna castigate you publicly. The Kansas flu, true. Blue tea. Coming back to the blue tea every time. Thanks for coming in to hang out for a just chatting stream, by the way. I really don't like that I have built an expectation for myself that creates a lot of pressure around like talking about the latest trans news. And while I do still want to touch on those topics today, I like that it's not I would prefer if it were something that people are like, I'm okay with you talking about trans news, but it's not like making or breaking the stream in the way that I used to sometimes get like 100 viewers concurrently, but it's only when I go with like a super spicy topic. And I mean, often it's like a drama topic. Really, it's the drama topic streams that get the most clicks. You know, it's like, what in the world is going on with Xander Hall? Those are the streams that get the clicks. Quantum Chaos adds Spanish flu did start on a pig farm in Kansas. It was only called the Spanish flu because the Spanish were the only ones taking it seriously. On that front, better to call COVID Italian virus. Yeah. Isn't it that, like, I don't remember what the statistic was, but like a pretty significant portion of global COVID infections happen in the United States right now. Best not to attract those clickers anyway. Yeah, that's what I mean. This is what I want. Here's the dream, and we're kind of doing it. Like I was like, let me just lay it out there. Just chatting trans stream. Let's see if this gets any clicks. Okay. That's what I want. Is like the streams here. We will talk about whatever. No, you're fine, Trans Cat Dad. I made on the last stream. The title was like a whole bunch of news shit. So don't worry. We were already planning on talking about bad shit. But like, so what I want is the videos on the channel are like movie reviews, TV reviews, talking about books, that kind of thing. That is the goal. I'm working through transitioning the channel into that. And then on the streams, I want it to be genuinely more of a just chatting. And then like occasionally we'll talk about politics. Like every once in a while, I might need to just go in on, oh my God, did you hear about this news? Did you hear about this thing that happened? Yeah, clickers, neuron activated. Totally, yeah. Staying informed is one thing. It feels like a matter of survival. But I feel like I have to detach to some degree, not to just freak the fuck out. Yes. It's like literally World War III brewing in the Middle East. Great. Love that. Ongoing genocide in Gaza. Like bad news every day in the United States for trans people. Often there's bad news for other things like Medicaid and other essential public services. Like, it's just all bad all the time. Yes, the channel itself is trans now. It's going through something. It's a transition. With World War III, COVID won't be a concern anymore. I mean, if anything, World War III and the resulting potential, like, wreckage, like, if you are in a situation like in Gaza right now, where buildings are frequently being bombed, you know, you're huddling together in small spaces because that's the safest place you can get to. You're trying to stick together with your group of people. You're telling, like, if somebody runs by, you're like, hey, get in here. Like, you are more susceptible to disease. Like, this is how Anne Frank died. Anne Frank died in a concentration camp from typhus. She died from a disease because of the conditions. So it is. No, you're right, Pink Closet. I knew what you were laying down. So like COVID is a concern. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to post a video commentating about the Lily Tino stuff. Oh, I have no idea what that is. Please tell me. Your strategy of focusing on content for trans people is really great. IMO stuff cis people don't care about. I mean, that's not like the goal long term. The goal is not to do that. And in fact, that's almost like the problem is that I've been making a bunch of content that only trans people care about. Only trans people who are just glued and doom watching all of these things, who feel the need to like have support through that and have someone explain to them what the level of danger actually is. Those people have been watching my content. Right this second, I'm making trans video, like movie review content, because I'm trying to make sure my present audience is still somewhat interested in it while I grow an audience that's more broadly interested in media takes. So like the goal is to eventually be able to make content that anybody could watch, but it's just always going to be from the trans perspective. So like, and not just the trans perspective, but also like the sort of anarchist perspective, the gender anarchist perspective. Lily Tino is a headache. Okay. Totally, yes. The world is falling apart. Let's focus on it 100% of the time so we have no energy left for anything else. Yay! Movie reviews, especially from a quote true criticism point of view of seeking meaning, are just fun. Yeah. I mean, it's fun and it often presents an idea to, like, an opportunity to discuss other issues, right? Like, we did She's the Man, which is about sports, and I could have gone in a little bit deeper on like the issue with trans sports debate these days, Okay, Lily Tino is a non-passing trans femme TikToker. She posted selfies inside women's bathrooms at Disney World, Florida, and J.K. Rowling has been tweeting harassment at her in response. Oh, I thought that something completely else was happening with her. So she's the one, if I'm remembering this correctly, Lily Tino is the one who like sits down in restaurants and records herself eating, and then like people, if they misgender her, she says like, I need to speak to the manager. Basically, she's basically just like, and like I get it, she is making money doing this. She does. I'm not gonna say escalate. That's not the right word. But like, I guess if a waiter misgenders you and then you escalate it to their manager in the sense of like just bringing it to the attention of their manager. Like honestly, I think people just treat her like, oh my God, the audacity that she has to correct people and to inform management that they need to train their employees. It's like, it basically, like, I think people who dislike Lily Tino have been convinced that it's rude to correct people for misgendering you, or that it's rude to do anything beyond correcting them. Like that trans people as a group should ask for less. That, it's making trans people look bad for her to basically say like, hey, your employee misgendered me and I think that you should train them better or whatever. Like, I don't know what she usually says at that point in the video. I haven't watched very many of her things, but that's what her content is. And I think that people hate it because they do not like seeing trans women holding their ground and expecting respect. It seems like she usually tells her server that her pronouns are she, her, and if she gets misgendered, she says she's going to leave, and they usually just tell her to not worry about paying. It's more about the way she corrects people than the correction itself. I mean, I've watched several of her videos, and it's been just like a normal conversation. I've even seen a video of someone, like another customer, being actively transphobic to her off camera, and the very polite way that she responded to that, like, so I just find it really hard to believe that she's this super aggressive, oh, she's making trans women look bad or anything. Like, I think she's fine. What I thought happened at Disneyland was like, I saw a picture of her with like a corn dog in her hand, and I think what was happening was she was like explaining bottom surgery using this corn dog, like, which obviously is like a funny, cute video, and like I don't really care that it's happening at Disneyland. She's sitting by herself at a table and she's talking about a corn dog. Children, Disney movies themselves are kind of famous for slipping in innuendo that adults will appreciate and children will not understand. So I also do not think that it's a huge problem for her to be miming bottom surgery with a corn dog. So, like, nothing I have seen from her justifies the hate she gets. In fact, what I'm gathering is that she is both an extremely polite person and she's really fucking good at gaming the algorithm and therefore making her bank, which, congratulations, miss, is kind of what I have to say to that. Yeah, there was a lady who yelled across the restaurant saying, "I'm a TERF and I hit hard." Yeah, I remember. Like, literally someone was threatening her with violence and she was like, "Oh, really? You hit hard?" Like, okay. The first thing I saw about Lily was it was a huge spectacle that was made out to be something rude and unfair, like she was baiting. But when the video came out at the time, she didn't even immediately escalate. She just eventually did. Yeah, for her to like eventually be like, "I would like to speak to your supervisor," you know? There was a petition to ban her on TikTok. Fucking Christ. Oh, man. Water is so good for you. Hail hydrate, babes. I wish I was half as good as Lily Tino at making that fucking money as a trans person. I'm just not willing to eat at a restaurant. That's like one of the big differences is she's out here like going to Disneyland and eating at restaurants with no mask on. And I think that is kind of delusional behavior. Like, you're living in a fantasy world if you're doing that. Like, literally what you're doing is not in congruence with reality. So that couldn't be me. But like, as far as just like the strategizing, you know, I had a thought recently. Ooh, there's 50 likes. Thank you. 50 likes. OMG. Can I get the first donation of the day? Does anybody have a $5 bill they want to throw my way? It's for groceries. Buck Angel is trying to get people to sign a petition to ban her. Last I checked, it's got 500,000 signatures. It's so interesting that like you could like dislike someone's content and want it taken down even though there is no breaking of TOS. And that there's a possibility that someone might not do that. Like, my only critique of Lily is that she needs to moderate her damn comments. Fair. I feel like she makes enough money at this point to like pay someone to moderate her comments for her, which you should do. If you're a big creator, either moderate it yourself or pay someone to moderate it. Uncomfy says, "I dislike Lily's content because I just dislike rage baity stuff in general. I despise the transphobia people are sending her way. Like, disliking a person is never an excuse to be a bigot." Thank you, Mira. Hey, that's the first donation of the stream. Never be afraid to ask for money. Totally, yeah. I will say, super chats, I don't receive those until next month. So direct donations through the website. If you're like literally, I am not sure I have enough money to pay for groceries this week. So direct donations through the website, I will receive that like tomorrow instead of next month. So I do try to steer people that direction, but I will get that $10 next month. So thank you, Mira. I appreciate that. Oh my gosh. Quantum, thank you for the $100 donation. Jesus Christ, that is extremely generous. And I was not expecting that. This is for groceries, so you don't have to go to a restaurant or spend it at a restaurant. I don't know. I'm not a doctor or whatever. Anyway, here's money. Thank you. Gee, many Christmas. Well, now I feel pretty confident that I'm going to afford groceries this week. So thank you. Jesus Christ. Sometimes I just don't know what to do with you guys. You're like, "Oh, okay." Big donations. And I'm just like, okay, I don't really know how to respond to that. I was never very good at practicing gratitude. It's something that I had to learn. And I'm still not very good at it. But it means a lot. Jiminy Christmas. Does that mean, oh yeah, I should flex or something. My muscles are not very impressive right now because I haven't really been working out, but like, there you go. You get a flex anyway. Oh! Just felt like I should do something, you know? Thank you. Jiminy Christmas. I forgore, is your household vegan or veggie? No, we are not vegan or veggie. I try to incorporate more vegetarian options, and it's not always appreciated. But yeah, no, we're very much full spectrum diet household here. Thank you, Quantum Chaos. I do appreciate it. I'm gonna throw something at you. Don't throw something at me. I'm gonna defend myself behind my giant fan. I found it. I put it in a drawer recently, and I had to get it out because I was like, I better have my fan for the Renaissance Festival. And listen, bitch. You know? Oh, thank you, Psycho Plebeian. $10 dono. I love your sunflower dress / tank. Where did you get it? And are there plus size versions? Thank you, first of all. I got it from Amazon. I do not know if there are plus size versions. But yeah, I basically, if you just look up like vintage style dress or like retro dress, there's a whole bunch of different kinds. But this one is the kind that ties behind the neck. There's all kinds of different necklines. Obviously, I'm wearing a corset today, but normally, it just, I don't know, you can't see. But like vintage rockabilly dress. Sophie, going to a Renaissance festival this weekend. I've never been to one. Good gracious. I hope you have fun. It's really a great time, I have to say. Here, let's arbitrarily, since we've got 120 now, let's arbitrarily raise the number to 200. And there, I'll flex again if we happen to get to 200. Even if we don't, that's fine. Ugh. But yeah, you should go to a Ren Fair. It's good for you. I'll share a recipe with you for roast chicken later. Ooh! I do love roast chicken. It's a great way to go. Man. Let's get the breeze going in here. I don't have anything written or drawn on mine. I know, there are people who have ones that say, like, cunt or something. I just have a plain black one. I did think about Sharpieing on it with, like, metallic green Sharpies and putting some, like, flowers or vines or something on there. Excuse me. Oh, gosh. Ah. A nice whoomp, whoomp, whoomp. Were you getting the air hitting the microphone? Oh, that's surprising. That's so much louder than I would have expected. I'm sorry, that's really loud. I'll be careful with that. Oh, gosh. Let's see, what else? Yeah, man, I wish I was half as successful as Lily Tino. You would just have to basically, like, never, ever, ever check your comments sections. Do it again? You want me to do it again? There. You get it even more direct. As my hair is just flying all over the place. Yeah. Good to have one of these. Help you out. Keep you cool in the summer. You're sweating. You gotta cool it down. You gotta get it off you. A nice sound and sensation. It's true. I think this was only like $15 or something too. Which means it's probably like not very well made, but I don't know. It's served the purpose so far. I'm pretending it's cooling me off. Are you excited for Transatlantic tomorrow? Yeah, so anybody who's here and who doesn't already know, for some reason, I do a show, not every Thursday, but a lot of Thursdays, and when I'm not there, there's somebody else there. It's the Transatlantic Call-In Show. We have 2 hosts. We talk about trans politics. We take callers who want to ask us questions or debate with us, and I have it tomorrow, and I don't know if I'm looking forward to it so much as I'm like, yeah, that's my job, and I get paid pretty well doing that job. You know? Ooh, I love this top and the earrings. Hello, Milena. Thank y'all. Yeah, it's a dress with sunflower dress, and my corset that I just bought, and these are muskrat jawbone earrings. Muskrat jawbones. Sapphic is a mod for Takis chats. It's really nice. Yeah, we heavily moderate our chats. If people come in and like say transphobic things, a lot of the time their comments get deleted, and then they tell them, hey, you should call in if you want to have this conversation. Like, we don't really debate in chat. We don't really read chat to debate. Like, sometimes we'll look in chat and we'll be like, hey, I see someone in chat has a problem. Why don't you go ahead and call in? But for the most part, yeah. And there's a lot of different stuff. Like, they don't allow all caps, which I'm assuming is just because it's a way to mitigate trolling. But they don't allow all caps. They also don't allow any commentary on the host's appearance. So even if it's a compliment, if they're like, oh, wow, you're both looking really good today, or like, Arden is so pretty, like, nope, no comments on the... And I don't think that that's for the same for all of our shows on the line. I think that might just be for Takis. Having a very rough anxiety day with world events right now. Just wanted to pop in and say hi. Yes, completely understand. That's why we're doing a just chatting stream, because I don't want to think about it. Like, we're just chilling, you know? Don't want to think about it. The wild frequency with which people say crazy shit in there. Chatters will probably respond to other chatters, though. Yeah, but we don't want that, though, is the thing. Is that does happen. People will say something transphobic, and then people in the chat will start debating that person, and then that person gets ganged up on, and then they won't call. You know, that's not what it's for. We're not there to host you guys arguing in the chat with people who are there to troll. We're there to have conversations. So if those people aren't willing to come call, we're not going to give them a platform to stir things up and disrupt the flow of our chat and distract the chat from the show, you know? There are people who get triggered by all caps. It comes across as shouting. I don't know that that's the reason, but I can understand that. We want them to call in, so we just delete the transphobic stuff and make fun of them. Yeah. Tell them to call in. Not my fault to have a totally normal parasocial crush on Arden. Listen, I completely understand it. She's cool. I get along with her great. I have a lot in common with her. I think she's great. So I completely understand when people have a little crush, but, you know, be respectful about it. You gotta be chill about these things. You gotta be relaxed. So yes, we have Takis tomorrow. I'm trying to just give less energy to transphobia. I like her snakes a lot. Yeah. I love that we get to see the little snake friends and, you know, all the other cool stuff that she's got going on. That's one of the difficult things. Like, so they live in Texas, and obviously, as so many trans people in the world, we're thinking like, get out of Texas, like go live somewhere else. And they want to go live in Illinois, but I don't think they're going to be able to bring any of their animals. Like, I genuinely think they might have to like purge their entire... I think they might have to sell all of their animals because they're exotics, and like they would have a really difficult time handling the flippin' whatever it is, like a... Yeah, they're going to have to sell almost all of them and then start over. It sounds like it's going to... I mean, I don't even know if they can. I don't know if they're planning on doing that. I think that is the main way that they make money. Like, obviously, Arden works for Jimmy, but I think that the reptiles might be like one of their big ways of making money. Takis feels more like a podcast than a stream until we get to the super chats. Yeah, it is. It's just a show for you to listen to it, and you can comment on it and you can talk to each other in the chat, but it's like not like we're interacting with chat that much. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know that they do reptile breeding. I just don't know if that's like their main form of income. because they both work for Jimmy. You know, obviously Matt has his, he shows up and does the streams. Arden does like all of the editing, and she's a producer and all this other stuff. So, you know, maybe it wouldn't hurt them to stop selling reptiles. And obviously they would make a shit ton of money. And you're right, if they have to get rid of the living spaces, like get rid of all the terrariums and stuff, they could make thousands and thousands of dollars by purging all of that at the same time. And then like after you've done that, like would you even get back into it? Arden wants to buy a house too, so it's like shit, maybe that's the down payment on their house. And then yeah, it would be super sad if, you know, they love their reptiles. I know. It's really fucking hard to upend your life and move across the country, it turns out. And it's really, really terrible and shitty that so many people have to do it. I was lucky. Like, my partner insisted on, like, basically, like, bringing all of our stuff. And, like, he was like, we're gonna make that work. And that's what we did. And so now we're here and all of our stuff is here. But like, I didn't have a shit ton of animals. I did have to get rid of some of my animals. I got rid of my isopods and everything because it was just not possible to move them up here. Obviously, my cat, I was able to move up here, but I would not have tried. I don't know if I could have tried to move a snake. I don't think that would have worked. There was a time I just moved somewhere new on a whim and I brought my PC and some clothes and that was all. Goodness. Every once in a while, a spicy collar. I honestly wish we got more spicy collars. The last time I was on Transatlantic, we had more oppositional collars, but honestly, I think with Takis, it gets less views than the other stuff on the channel. And therefore it gets fewer collars. And like sometimes we're just like, we'll take any collar we get because we don't have enough. But when we have more callers, I want to start being like, oh, let's drop this caller who's just like, you know, maybe this person is someone who calls in regularly and they agree with us all the time. Like, okay, I'm going to drop that caller for today because I have oppositional callers and I want to prioritize that. So we actually lost an oppositional caller the last time I was on because they didn't want to keep waiting. Even if they don't need the money, selling a collection of anything, let alone animals, isn't easy. You don't do that lightly. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, you're giving up a huge part of your life if you do that. The atheism/feminism stuff seems to draw more people than trans-related content. Well, I think it is. I mean, you know, I've complained about it for months. It's not like it's like a mysterious thing. We do the show in the middle of the day, and it's too early. The rest of the shows on the line during the week start at 4 p.m. Central Time when people are getting off work, and we start at 2 p.m. Central Time, which in my time zone is noon. So we're doing a stream in the middle of the workday. We don't perform as well because we don't go in the evening. And the reason we don't go in the evening is because Katie Montgomery was one of the founding people on Takis. And it was like, if it's 2 p.m. in Kansas, then it's 8 p.m. for Katie. And so that's why it is the way that it is. And I'm trying to I'm like, I do not know why it's still happening the time that it is. It might be because, like, Arden is the producer and she doesn't want to work that late into the evening. Like, she often has plans on Thursday after Takis. So, I don't know. It just feels like we are nerfing that show on purpose almost, which is part of why I want to go on a different Takis show. I'm going to ask Matt. I think they're going out of town for something at the end of the month here. So, I don't know. I was thinking maybe I should ask Matt this week, like, hey, do you want to have me on the Hang Up next month one time? And just, like, check it out, you know? Katie did mention earlier on her stream she is looking for collabs. Yeah. I don't know if we've never actually talked, I don't think. I can't remember if we've tweeted back and forth at each other at all. But I've never actually talked to Katie. The funny thing is there are whole weeks where big parts of every other show will be anti-trans callers. I know. That's why I want to go on the other shows because I'm like, oh, Forrest Valkai talking about pronouns again. Why can't I talk about pronouns with Forrest? But I'm not like an expert on anything, which is I think what Skep Talk is for. So whatever. But I do want to be like, yo, put me on the other shows, please. I think it would be awesome to see you two collab. I just don't know what I'm going to do as far as collabing works. Like, at this stage, Katie does exclusively political content, and I'm trying to shy away from that. So if I'm going to collab with someone, it's more likely to be like, I'm going to reach out to another media content creator and be like, hey, will you record like a 2-minute rant for this video that I'm already doing? Like, cool. Forrest is cool. I will be straight for him. Yeah, understandable. Understandable. Sunday has no theme. True. Maybe Sunday. Either way, I'm going to have to cancel one of my shows and do the one on the line, whether it's the Hang Up on Wednesday or whether it's the Sunday show. But I would love to get on one of the other shows, and I need to like elevate that request and be like, yo, for real, seriously, I want to be on at least one other show next month. Please pick a day, but put me on one of the other shows. I feel like Godless Engineer does Skep Talk, and he's just an engineer like me. We're not special, but you do know something. I don't have any special knowledge. I did campaign for you on the Patreon for you to be on Chewed Gum, and Alyssa gave it a heart. Okay. See, this is what you guys have to do. You guys have to say, I want to see Luxander on the other show. That's a great question, MJ. That's a great question. We have considered, like, if we were to just kind of accept that Katie is not going to be on the show anymore, then yeah, could we drop the Atlantic bit? Like, should we rename that show completely? Are we just going to keep calling it Takis and it's going to become like MTV, where like MTV doesn't play music anymore? But it's just going to be Takis. Katie is also largely focused on UK trans issues at the moment, which is understandable given the political climate there. Yeah, no, totally. I completely understand it. She's busy. She's got things going on, and I respect it. And it just doesn't, like, I'm not trying to collab with someone who is primarily a politics streamer like that, you know? It's not the kind of cross-pollination that would make sense. But I think that they were also considering putting Takis on a different channel. Like, because the line, like, the shows that perform the best, yeah, are the ones that are, like, the atheist shows. And the main draw to our channel is Matt Dillahunty and Forrest Valkai, who are, like, atheists and have, like, subject matter expertise. So there has been some kind of talk in the back end that maybe Chewed Gum and Takis might belong on a different channel, just because it's like not a consistent brand identity, if that makes any sense. Which sounds gross, but that is how it works. And like, you know, I'm experiencing this problem with my channel, where it's like my brand identity is trans politics and like political streamer drama kind of stuff, right? So it's like, yeah, the brand identity of that doesn't really mesh with movie reviews, even if I'm doing queer movie reviews. For some reason, I thought I was watching a VOD. No, you are here. Welcome. I saw that, Kitty. Yeah, someone in that Facebook group likes Takis. I think there's something to be said about keeping the name. Like, you wouldn't want to discard that cachet. It does feel weird having Takis where it's less Takis than Takis Convenient Timing and otherwise just on one side. Yeah. You need to find more UK peeps? Maybe. I like that the line has an ebb and flow of topics personally, but I get why for the algorithm that may need to change. Yeah, I'm just, you know, Is that what the line edge is being beefed up for? I know Jimmy said he's building that channel up with clips to get the subs up before starting to put stuff there. I think that might be part of the idea, so that, there could be more of a cohesive brand identity where it's like, on this channel we focus more. But that fucking problem is, hold on, you know what? Hold on. We're gonna go look at it. We're gonna go look. Because I was about to say, because we still have other, like you said earlier, people call in the other shows and those get lots of views. So like, look at this shit. I don't think it actually is fair to move Takis onto the other shows. If you're gonna, like, okay, on the main channel, transphobic moron is sure he knows better than two biologists. 71,000 views. That's the most views that we've gotten in the last 10 videos. That's the most views we've gotten on a video since hold on, what was this one again? 71K. That's the most views we've gotten on anything since a video from a month ago with 87,000 views. So like, I don't think it would be fair to say that the trans content underperforms. It's not about the trans content. It's that the trans content creators underperform. I messaged a while ago with a suggestion for a UK person who I would love to see on Takis. Yeah, it was the dick call, Quantum Chaos. The dick call. I admit, I don't watch that. I missed it. But like, let me be on a video that gets that many views. Could also get a show with Joven over there. Yeah, maybe I could do like a "Cause I Wanna" with Joven or something. Having Forrest in the thumbnail is cheating. Yeah, I don't know why he's such a draw, but he is. Let's see. Like, yeah, there was Josie and I in this thumbnail. Conservative theist caller grills us on trans identities, and it's me and Josie. Like, that video did shit. It did only 11K. Although here's a video with Alyssa, hold on, wait, Promise and Owen, and that one also only got like 12K. So really what we're looking at is that there is a brand identity around like Forrest and Matt, and like those are the videos that get the best clicks, it seems. Anyway, it's weird stuff to think about. I mean, I've been thinking about this kind of stuff a lot because I am putting other shit on the channel. If you can get a famous gender crit to go on, you will get a ton of views. Yeah, they're not going to do that, though. But I've been, there's all kinds of stuff that you have to think about with uploading videos and stuff. Like, you guys know I posted a review of the movie Close to You with Elliot Page. And that video honestly did pretty good compared to some of my other stuff recently. It got like almost 4,000 views. And now it's like stopped getting any more views. So I went in and I gave it a new title and thumbnail. And that hasn't really increased the number of impressions. Like, YouTube is not trying to show it to new people. Even though I just like updated those things. Like, sometimes YouTube will understand that you've just uploaded or that you've just updated something and it'll try to show it to more people again. But it so far hasn't done that. So it's just kind of stagnating in views. I guess the views have kind of like gradually been trickling in, but you see what I mean is like the majority of the views are in the first 3 days, and then after that it's kind of flatlining or like only gradually going up. So I'm kind of trying to figure that out and be like, what's going to be successful in the first place. This video did very poorly compared to like the other one. At least this one got like half as many views. And I did the same thing with this one. This is the one about She's the Man, and I changed the title and thumbnail. And this one, it did have a bump in impressions, which is when YouTube shows it to more people. Oh, and actually the impressions click-through rate has just jumped up, which tells me that that thumbnail is working better. So maybe this one will start increasing in views, but it kind of just like has flatlined a lot. So this is the kind of insane shit that you have to think about when you're a YouTuber. It's not just like, what content do I want to make? It's also like, how do I trick this algorithm into showing this video to people? Run a poll for a new name that could keep Takis. So we want to keep Takis, but have them, yeah, like the trans angry call-in show. Yeah, like just have a new acronym. Like it's the same acronym, but it stands for something else. Isn't Talk Heathen an atheist show already? Talk Heathen, I believe, belongs to the atheist community of Austin. Talk Heathen is associated with the Atheist Experience, which, if you might remember, that Matt Dillahunty used to be on the Atheist Experience, and now he does not work there, and he only works for The Line. So we are not affiliated with Talk Heathen at all. Trans activist call-in show. Oh, that would be funny. I'm gonna just take some of these and type them to Arden. I'm gonna just... Hold on. Suggestions from my chat for renaming Takis to be more accurate but keeping the same acronym. Trans Agenda Call-In Show. Trans Angry Call-In Show. Trans Activist Call-In Show. Anybody else? Invite cis hosts on and call it the Trans Adjacent Call-In Show. If we invited a cis host, it would be the Trans Adjacent Call-In Show. It was weird seeing people shitting on FD Signifier for changing up the thumbnails and titles of his videos when you have to do that to get the algo to show your video every other day or so. Yeah, like, and I do get it, like, if someone didn't initially click on, like, so for example, if I have, like, this video about She's the Man, and the first title I gave it was, like, I don't remember, it was, like, gender, dysphoria, tragedy, disaster, or something. I don't fucking remember. But it was like, you know, keeping in the sort of dramatic tune. And I gave it like this thumbnail that was a close-up of Amanda Bynes in her boy character, and it said accidentally trans. So it was kind of alluding to the fact that this role gave Amanda Bynes gender dysphoria. But if people saw that and they were like, whatever, I don't care about that, I don't want to click on that, I guess I could understand on some level feeling like annoyed if you thought that there was a new video and it was just a different video. Like now, the video is titled Before Trans Sports Panic, She Was the Man. And then I changed the thumbnail and it's Amanda Bynes and Leah Thomas with like the lightning bolt in between them, trying to play on a different thing. Because one of the features that YouTube has told me that my viewers frequently click on videos about trans sports and trans athletes. So I was like, okay, if I change that up, you know, and I address the trans sports thing, maybe that'll help get more clicks on it or something, you know? But it's all very temperamental. It's impossible to guess what's going to happen. I think that I should always have one thumbnail in the A/B testing that has my face in it to make sure that my subscribers know that it's my video and they'll click on it. Trans Arguments Call-In Show. I like that one. I'm going to include that one. Trans Arguments Call-In Show. Is Forrest cis? Yeah, he is. The A/B testing of titles always gets me. I watch a video and then like an hour later I get another video, but it's actually the same one. I mean, doesn't it usually have the little red thing that tells you that you've already watched that video? Oh gosh, I just noticed there's 53 people in here. Hello. If you haven't already hit the like button, please consider doing so. And if you would like to help me pay for groceries this week, consider donating. Thank you. Oh no, I'm out of water. Ooh, I'm not out of tea though. I can drink the rest of my tea and then I'll have to go get more water here in a second. Trans against cis intellectual showdown. True. That's accurate marketing. Oh, that's really sweet. Uncomfy says, my friend is manic and suey right now and has a hard time believing he deserves love, peace, and joy in his life. So I am painting him a little picture of him sitting in a flower field on a sunny day. That's lovely. Oh, that's sweet. I love that. Yeah, do something nice for someone you care about. I know for a little bit we were doing I was doing like calls to action because I was doing all these really intense political videos, but maybe we should do relaxing calls to actions where it's like do something nice for a friend this week. You know, sometime between now and when I see you again on Sunday. Quantum Chaos with another $10 donation. I'm a sucker for donation requests. What can I say? Listen. You're going to get in trouble. I'm going to be so mad. So angry. You can't stop me being angry. But I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thick ass claps in slow-mo. Sure. Does doing organizational legwork for a date count? Sure. Yeah. I mean, I guess you're doing something nice for the world by doing organizational legwork. You're not actually going to be in trouble, Quantum Chaos. I'm just saying things. Oh man, the bottom of the tea. Honey doesn't really like mix very well in the tea, I've found. So you get to the bottom of the tea and it's like the sweetest part of the tea. It's pretty good. Mm. Oh, yes. Yes, it's delicious. Mm. Fantastic. That legwork is buying movie tickets. Don't pat me on the back too hard. Well, you know. You're out there doing some organizing. That's a good thing. We gotta show some appreciation to the people out here who are like trying to get shit done. You know? We've got people in this community who regularly donate to like trans charities. We've got some people here who like work or volunteer for nonprofit organizations. We've got all kinds of people here doing all kinds of crazy things. And we need everybody doing all kinds of different crazy things. So even if you're not doing the specific thing that someone else is doing, well, damn it, you can find something else to do. But does it blend? I am really bad at it. You know, it's acceptable for you to be bad at it. Being bad at something is the first step to being kind of good at it. I've never watched that show, but I know that. Ben says that reminds me of the organizational date legwork I need to do. Uh-oh. I volunteer to be an online troll. Yeah, well, I know that about you already. You've already been scolded for that behavior. Gave up on being organized years ago. Oof. I try. I do my best. I'm not great at it. Unorganized legwork. Oh, is it Mr. Baby? You coming in to say hello again? No, I think he's just messing around. I like to drive around with a cooler of water bottles and hand them out to unhoused folks on hot days. That is the Lord's work. I'm great at disorganized legwork, aka when I try to dance. I keep seeing memes about dancing, and I keep wanting there to be a good moment with my partner to just be like, to just spontaneously be like, come dance with me. Our relationship is not cute like that. So that's just me hoping to do something cute with my partner when we don't usually do cute shit like that. Storm Chaser Patrick, hello. Welcome in. Yeah, handing out water on hot days is a good way to be helpful and not have to spend time with people too much, truly. Sometimes I think about doing something like baking cookies or you know, maybe like protein bars or something. Like, I like the idea of putting my labor into making something and then like giving it out where there are encampments, because there are encampments all over the place here. But because I am feminine, I also am really kind of freaked out by the idea of talking to homeless people, specifically because a lot of them are men, and I don't like those people. Like, you know about men and what they're like. And then if they're in a situation where they're kind of unstable, then sometimes they're even more the way that they are. So I mostly am like, I don't actually know if I want to just kind of go up to a place and be like, here, do you guys want water? Like, I don't know, man. It sounds like maybe something that I should avoid doing. Hey, that's good news. Pink says I have an interview tomorrow to be a PA for trans people with disabilities. Good stuff. Yeah. I don't like men, but also men drools. Yeah, isn't that so disappointing sometimes? I'm not on that whole like men suck as a rule, but sometimes I'm like, I'm dealing with a problem and I feel like I wouldn't be dealing with this problem if a man wasn't involved. Y'all remember that video of some folks shoplifting groceries and making a bunch of sandwiches and handing them out to homeless folks? I did not see that. That is good shit. There are no more storms. I don't know what to do, but also everything is terrible. Don't we still have like more tornado season in like the Midwest? Good to do with a buddy. Also, don't have to pause for conversations if you're uncomfortable. Just get them the water and move on. Dude, okay, so in Oregon, we have like a program for when you can like collect a little bit of money when you turn in glass bottles and stuff like that. Like, they're so clearly the program exists to try to incentivize people to make sure that these materials end up in the recycling, you know? I don't do it because I don't need the money that bad, and I can recycle my shit. And I instead of like taking it to the special place, like, you know, instead of accumulating a bunch of stuff in my house that's basically trash that I have to then take to a place and get like $3 out of the situation, that's too much. So I just recycle my stuff using the neighborhood recycling. But I was driving past a business recently. I think it was like a bar or something. And there was a person taking out the trash or taking out the recycling. And they were taking the glass bottles and throwing them into the trash can, like individually, each glass bottle, like breaking it, so that homeless people can't rifle through the garbage to get something that's going to get them $3. Like, if they collect enough bottles, then they'll get $3. Like, imagine breaking that shit instead of just like why wouldn't you just like maybe take the bottles that can be recycled in that way, that can be taken into the place and you get money from it? Like, why couldn't you just put those like maybe a little bit closer to the street in like a Rubbermaid, and then people could like take them and then get fucking $3? It's like each bottle or each can is only like 10 cents. So I'm like, this is like, people only do this if they are desperate. People are only sitting there digging through trash because they do not have any money. It's so shit. And it's not the first time I've seen something like that. Like, I knew someone who worked at a J.C. Penney, and if they were going to get rid of something like a blanket, like, oh, this blanket didn't sell, so we're going to get rid of it, they would also, like, shred it with like a knife, a carpet knife or something, so that homeless people wouldn't rifle around and like take the blanket and be able to use the blanket for free. Like, what the fuck, dude? What is wrong with this world? Yeah, the average person is far too excited to treat unhoused people as some subhuman. It's crazy. On behalf of men, sorry we're such drama queens, with the added layer of not wanting to admit we're drama queens. Listen, Byron, that is hitting a little bit too close to home with some problems that I'm dealing with in my personal life right now. Fit check. What's up, Hoot? Fit check. It's my dress, and it's a corset. It's antisocial. Like, breaking the bottles is antisocial behavior? Yeah, I could get on board with that. The machines won't accept broken bottles because it can't read the barcode, and businesses also won't accept them usually, so it ends up in a landfill instead of recycled. Really? So broken glass, even if you just put it in, like, I mean, I assumed that shit gets, like, melted. Like, the glass gets melted. But so, like, literally they're, like, putting broken glass in the recycling, and it won't even be recycled? I have that exact corset. Yeah, it was like $16 on Amazon. I'm not trying to get anything fancy. I was just like, could this maybe help me breathe? I don't know. And also, I really want to start taking pictures for Fansly again. Like, I used to post, you know, pictures of me being cute or pictures of me being sexy. No nudes or anything, but pictures. And I just don't want to because I'm fat right now. Like, I feel fat. I've gained weight. I don't feel cute anymore. I don't really feel attractive. So I have been really reluctant to take pictures, but I was like, so maybe if I get a corset, I can take some cute pictures, and maybe I'll be able to ignore that I feel uncomfortable about myself, and maybe I can make a little bit of money on the side because I'm broke as shit and I need to make money. So, you know, that's how it works when you're a person who has a self-employment situation. You're like, how many side hustles can I accumulate? Lux, not to derail the convo, but how do you tighten that corset solo? This corset has a latch system in the front. So what I do is I loosen it in the back, and then I put it on. I tighten everything, or like I buckle everything in the front. And then in the back, it has a ribbon that is in the middle. Like, you know, like instead of the laces being all at the top and you tie it at the top or tying it at the bottom, it's in the middle. So, and they're really long. So once it's on me, I just pull on it behind here, and I can adjust it and like loosen it. I loosened it at the top so it's a little bit more breathable. It doesn't make my tits look as good when it's a little looser, but at least I'm not like unable to breathe. Can you link the corset in Discord? I'd love to find a good corset. This is not a good corset. I want to be completely and entirely transparent. This is a shitty costume piece for $15. And the boning in it is super flexible. Like, it's not a good corset. Does it have a cupped bra in the front? No, it's completely under my boobs. It's only for abdominal compression. I can tighten the ribbon, but then I can't tie it off without loosening it up. Yeah, I mean, that is, I guess, just like a skill thing. I'm not sure. This one also, like, the ribbons are so long that I've also seen people wrap them around the front and then wrap them back around the back and tie them. Yeah, no corset you buy on Amazon is good. Not like a high quality object. Trans Cat Dad says, I am 100% side hustle right now. True. Mine just doesn't loosen up when I'm tightening it. Like, I tie it like I tie my shoes, you know, like I do a regular tie. And then from there, I just hold that down while I'm doing the loops. And then I just like tighten it all and get my finger out of the way real quick. I don't know. Nicole Rudolph has done some good videos about corsets. Yeah. Trans GF injecting my testosterone. Let's, as we speak, let's fucking go. Yes. Let's fucking go. Kitty says, our only glass recycler in Oregon has failed to pass emission standards 10 years running now, so the glass that does get recycled isn't even environmentally friendly. I do know the glass is sorted by gravity and centrifuge after being cleaned, which is cool because different colors of glass have different weights. Yeah, that is interesting. I did not know that. That we have like one glass recycling place here, and it's like not even efficient. That's crazy. My favorite side hustle is nude modeling for artists. Hell yeah, dude. That's awesome. Okay, I need to get more water. My throat is super dry, so I am just going to put on a little bit of music and step away for a minute. I'm gonna just, let my voice rest for a second, take a little break, but don't go anywhere for very long at least. It's gonna be like 5 minutes, so take a little 5-minute break, get yourself a snack, come back. We're gonna keep shooting the shit. I actually do want to talk about the Supreme Court decision today, so I'll talk about that when I get back. But in the meantime, Jazz Dog, it's time for more Jazz Dog. Okay, I'll be right back. Hey, I'm back. I told you I wouldn't be gone for long. Thank you for sticking around, everybody who's still here. Got some water, rested my voice for a minute, went to the restroom. Little midstream break, you know? We need a little goose fraba sometimes. Ooh, I do want to share something with you because I know I did say just now that I was about to tell you about the Supreme Court decision, but actually I'm going to tell you about my kombucha. I have tried to do the kombucha. I tried to do it once and I just completely fucked it up. It got moldy. And so now I'm trying a different thing. Just me or audio low. If it's low, then I can't control it. I've like boosted the gain not too long ago, and I feel like I can't just keep raising the gain. Like, I'm not sure why. But anyway, I was talking about my kombucha. So I fucked it up the first time. It got moldy. And so this most recent time, I'm like, okay, I spent like almost a month just letting it build a SCOBY, like a really tiny amount of tea, trying to get it to build a SCOBY. And I went ahead and, oh, okay, the headphones were wonking. Okay, cool, no worries. I'm now on the first fermentation. Today was day 6. So today was the day that it was like, you should taste it for the first time and test the pH and stuff and see where it's at. It's definitely kombucha, but it's still a little bit on the sweet side. Not enough of that tanginess for me yet. So I am gonna give it another day or two because I'm adding sugar to it for the second fermentation. This is how kombucha works. It turns out I really like all kinds of fermented food because I also just tried kimchi for the first time and it was fucking delicious. Spicier than I was expecting. I did not realize that they put actual chilies in there. But anyway, so kombucha. So you have like, you're trying to get it to grow a certain bacteria with like yeast as well as the bacteria. And it gives it like a tangy flavor. And then you can add fruit to, and make it like a fruity flavored infusion kind of thing, in the same way that like you can take a mead, which is made with honey, but you can add like a little bit of fruit to it and then it becomes like a blackberry mead, right? You can imagine blackberry and honey together, right? So that's what I'm in the process with this kombucha, where I've made the first fermentation. It's not done yet. And so the next phase is putting it in bottles with flavor. So some kind of fruit or like a little piece of ginger or something like that to get it to have like a flavor and give it a little bit more sugar. And at that point, it's like that's the real, like they're building carbonation part of the fermentation. So that's where I'm at right now. Kimchi. Yeah. So kimchi, I opened this kimchi and it smelled like coleslaw, which I think means that it's still technically a young kimchi, like a slightly under fermented kimchi. So it just smelled like coleslaw. But then I ate it and it was like, oh, it's crunchy. It's spicy. It's tangy. It's delicious. So it turns out I'm a big fan of yogurt. I like kimchi. I like kombucha. I tried kefir and whoa, kefir is weird. I did not like the plain kefir. I still have a blueberry one. I gotta check the date on it. I haven't opened it, but I gotta check my blueberry one and see if that one's any good because I was like, whoa, kefir is a little too weird for me. It's a little too much. Maybe I'll acquire the taste. I don't know if anybody here has had kefir, but it's real weird. It's like, oh, I don't know. You know the kombucha meme, right? Where she's like, and she's like, That's how I felt actually the entire time drinking kefir. I was like, is this good? Like, no. It was not good. Kimchi on a burger. Oh! Oh, I do think that would be delicious. I just had it I just ate like a small bowl of kimchi. I'm doing this because I ate it with chopsticks. And it was really good. But I'm like, yeah, what else would I do with kimchi? The reason why I decided to try kimchi is because I got some kimchi flavored ramen And I didn't love that exactly. I mean, compared to like a beef flavored ramen or a chicken flavored ramen, whatever. Um, so I'm like, oh, maybe I should try that. Like, just make myself this kimchi ramen and do what I was originally going to do, which is just try to eat some kimchi with the ramen. Fire. I think it would be fire, is what I'm discovering, actually. Fred Meyer's brand has good kimchi. Okay. Kimchi better than sauerkraut. Ooh. You know what's really interesting is like my partner keeps being like kimchi's bad, but we did eat. There is sauerkraut in my refrigerator currently because he wanted to eat brats, and I was like, "What do you even do with brats?" And he was like, "I was like, I don't know." So I like Googled it, and it was like put sauerkraut and mustard on them, and I was like, "Great!" So I have a fucking huge jar of sauerkraut for no reason. Kimchi and cheese omelet. Ow! Oh, that sounds yummy. Oh my goodness. Okay. I don't want to get too distracted down a food trend today, but these are good things to know. I just enjoy, I'm like fermenting food for fun. I do not need to. Okay. I will check that out. Good stuff. Okay. Oh, I definitely didn't eat enough earlier. If I keep talking about food, I'm going to make myself really upset. I want to try kimchi, but I hate cabbage. I heard you can make it with cucumber. Um, I don't know. I do know that the kimchi I have has other stuff in it. Like it has carrot and maybe like radish or something. It has like other vegetables in it. But I have no idea what goes into making kimchi. So I'm not going to pretend to know. It just feels like something I should be careful about because I feel like I can reasonably say like here's kind of how you make kombucha. I'm also not going to try to tell you how to make your own yogurt. I have an Instant Pot, which I think an Instant Pot is something you can make yogurt with. Mine doesn't have a yogurt setting, but I think you could still functionally get the same thing to happen. Um, but I'm not about to tell you how to make yogurt because I don't fucking know. Coleslaw is abominable. Sauerkraut is great. Therefore, kimchi must be something. Yeah, kimchi is spicy and tangy. Those are kind of my main experiences of it as far as the flavor goes. So, you should try it. I recommend trying it, especially if you go to your local Asian market. I'm a huge fan of supporting an Asian market. Like it kind of feels like okay, yeah, you're buying your groceries at a small business basically. Like I could buy soy sauce from Walmart, but I could also buy soy sauce from this lady with gold teeth who is got a tenuous grip on the English language. You know what I mean? Yogurt's really easy so long as you have a starter, aka some yogurt. I am eating so much yogurt that it might actually be a benefit to me to make my own. I don't actually know. Sour in kimchi? Yeah, yeah. That's I guess tangy is what I was using to describe sour. But yeah, it's supposed to have like a sour flavor to it. In the same way that like unsweetened yogurt is sour a little bit and kefir is sour and kombucha is sour. Like that's just a quality of fermented foods that I really love. You can also get pickles that are fermented. I really want to try that. I want to find a brand because I think that for the most part, pickles are pickled and they don't have probiotics in them. But you can get some pickled cucumbers that have probiotic in them that are, it's like a kimchi. And I'm like, I want to try it. I want to try it. I'm in this phase of my life that is very food exploratory. And it's a global trend that I'm part of, actually. If you watch Sorted Food on YouTube, it's a global trend. People are food curious nowadays. I will eat kimchi right out of the container. Yeah, that's more or less what I did. I took some and put it in a bowl and then just ate it. And like, if I wasn't worried about contaminating it with my bacteria from my mouth, I would just eat it straight out of the jar. If I was at the end of the jar, I definitely would just eat it straight out of the jar. I definitely thought kimchi was noodles, but I was thinking of ramen. Did I accidentally do a racism? I'm sorry. Um, yeah, kimchi is like fermented vegetables, usually primarily cabbage, with chilies. like gochujara, chili, and other vegetables sometimes. And it's a staple of Korean food. They eat it constantly, all the time. I'm not actually a fan of the sour taste, which is why I like that specific kimchi brand. It's less sour and more spicy. Okay. Yeah, also ramen is Japanese and kimchi is Korean. That's a good point. Kimchi flavored boba. You're fired. Get out of here. Get out of my chat. How dare you say that to me? I'm kidding. My uncle wrote down the process for yogurt. I'll post how to do it in the food channel on Discord. Hell yeah. I find sour foods hit or miss. I do not like sourdough. It's perfectly edible, but I don't like it. Sauerkraut is good. Spicy is good. So shrug. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about sourdough. That is the big craze. Like, I'm sitting here talking about my kombucha. How many people, raise your hands, how many of you started a sourdough culture or got a gift of a sourdough culture during lockdown? Because that's when it happened. Everybody was like, I'm baking bread, I'm baking bread, I'm doing a sourdough, I'm baking bread. Oh my God, guys. I swear, I'm like, I don't feel like I'm that tired. But I do wake up constantly throughout the night, all the time. So I guess it does stand to reason that I'm kind of tired. I'm trying to do better. I don't have a bedtime. That's one of my big problems. I'm in my 30s. Now I need a bedtime. Pretty sure almost everything related to COVID ended up being a fad, including wearing masks. True. I don't mind being cringe. The fad has passed, but I will maintain. Good night, Andes. But Quantum Chaos says, I almost did a sourdough, but my attempt at just white bread, normal ass bread, failed so miserably I gave up immediately. No. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's so tough. Sourdough is the anti-woke bread now. Really? Sourdough is now tradwife culture? Sourdough is now white supremacy culture? Is that what's going on? It doesn't surprise me at all. It sounds exactly like the kind of shit that they would do. It's so... Okay. Interestingly enough, just I think from the direction that I'm coming at this from, because I'm coming at it from like, I'm a leftist, and lots of my leftist friends have been fantasizing for a long time about going off grid, having a garden, blah, blah, blah. Like my mother-in-law has been thinking about this for like 15 years. Progressives have been thinking like, how do I survive long term? I'm going to start to acquire these skills and fit into this lifestyle. And like, I think the cottagecore thing, at the very minimum, I feel like cottagecore as an aesthetic started as kind of a value neutral in terms of like, it didn't have a particular political bent. Although, of course, it's very easy for people who are like of a witchy persuasion and of a leftist persuasion in that like, I'm trying to become self-sufficient kind of way. So like, I kind of feel like the aesthetic of like making your own things and the cute style that goes along with like the cottagecore, I feel like that has now been co-opted by the right. So please correct me. And it's interesting because the right, you know, the traditionalism thing, like that is a fundamentally right-wing thing. But right-wingers, I don't think that they were the ones who came up with the cottagecore aesthetic being associated with like this whole trad wife thing of like, oh, well, I mean, and like the trad wife bent is a little bit different, but like the bent of like, I'm going to have chickens. I'm going to raise my kids to appreciate the outdoors. You know, we want to be off grid. We want to be away from government control. Like all of those things feel like they have been co-opted by the right from the left. And I don't know if that's just because this is where I'm coming from, because again, like hypothetically, that aesthetic would fit a traditionalist right-wing view where they're like, yeah, let's go be fucking Oregon Trail people and like make our kids do all the labor and shit. You know what I mean? Like those when white men were on top, you know, when white property owning men were on top of the world and everybody else just kind of had to do whatever the fuck they were told to do. It just feels like that the modern version of that on the right is co-opting what I viewed as a leftist aesthetic. Like it's been recuperated, right? Like recuperation in the sense that the dominant culture has started to take on the appearance of a subculture in order to normalize it in a way that, because the thing too is that like actually under an authoritarian government, they don't want you off grid. They don't want you owning your own water source and shit like that. It's in conservative states that it's like hard to get those things. I feel like the left is big on contingency planning outside of the Dem party, at least. Yeah, totally. Okay, Quantum Chaos says, like, yeah, it was a weird transition to see the idea of off-grid homesteading transition from left to right. Okay, so it's not just me. Like, that's exactly how I see this. Like, the homesteading aesthetic or the homesteading goals, it's a different angle for them, though. For us, it's about communal living and cooperative work. For them, it's about selfishness and don't tread on me bullshit. Yeah, that's fair. I think that's a fair point of difference. Although I guess for me, I do often think of it in terms of like, I just want to be far away from people, but that's not because I have conservative ideology of like hyper individualism. I think it's just like a trauma response. And I just want to be alone because it feels safer for me to be alone. And like, it feels safer to not feel reliant on other people. Although I do like the idea of having like some kind of split ownership of a land or like shared ownership or whatever the best legal situation is, you know. There are a lot of different legal ways to split that up. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, self-sufficiency versus isolationism to an extent, yeah. I forget who made a good video about this. Let me know if you figure out who it was, Ben, because I'm really interested in, like, learning a little bit more about it. Dominant yeast culture? Oh, no. Mutual aid versus anarcho-capitalism. Ooh, yeah, that's a good point, yeah. It's so funny because I think of anarcho-capitalism as being, like, not anarchism at all. I feel like we need a totally unique word for anarcho-capitalism. Because I feel like anarchic, like there's a ring to the word anarchy that to me feels like it rings socially liberal, or like socially libertarian at least. And that like the capitalism part of anarcho-capitalism completely negates any implication that anarchism usually has of being a libertarian ideology, because a capitalistic world is one where you have very few choices and very little autonomy. So it just feels like there needs to be a different word for that. Because, I mean, obviously by anarcho, we mean like no government and only capitalism. Like, you know, capitalism rules all. There is no social safety net or whatever. Techno-feudalism, that's a good word for it. Okay, yeah, techno-feudalism, I like that. I think that's better. Right-wingers are paranoid and waiting for the rapture to happen. True, that is a good reason. All these people think that they'll be lord and not the serf of the techno-feudalist future. That's fucking true. Yeah, that's really interesting. I like that. Techno-feudalism. I drink some more water. Jeez. Although, again, like, I don't know if any of you ever watch, like, videos about medieval history. It's kind of one of those things that I do in my free time. Serfs had a better work-life balance than we do. Like, obviously, serfs had to work hard, and there were certain times of the year where they had to work a lot more than other times of the year. But looking at the average year for a serf, like they had more time off than we do. They had more leisure time. There were more community celebrations and feasts and things like that lords put on to keep their peasantry happy. And you only had to dedicate a certain percentage of what you created on your land to give to the Lord. And in some cases, the resources that you were giving to the Lord could be managed and distributed if there was a fallow year. So, like, literally, if we were in feudalism, it would be better than what we have right now. Jackson in The Last of Us again. Dude, MJ, I've been sitting on it for a while. I don't want to make this video yet until, like, my channel is in a better place where it, like, the algorithm understands that I'm doing video analysis instead of trans politics stuff. Because, like, I have a video, like, I want to talk about The Last of Us and how the show itself makes a huge statement about whether it's better to organize a society via capitalism or via communism. I don't even know if it was intentional by the showrunners. Like, I frankly don't think it was intentional. But I have this, like, script mostly written where I'm, like, comparing, you know, the lifestyle of Fedra-controlled areas versus Jackson. And the show makes a very clear and powerful statement that communism is a better way of life. And I really, really, really want to have the opportunity to make that video in the future when I'm less worried that it will just die in obscurity. Because I think right this moment, if I made that video right now, I think it would crash and burn and not do very well at all. Speaking of self-sufficiency, I'm going to be moving out of my hometown up to the capital, and hoo boy, am I stoked. I'm moving in with a friend of mine. It'll be a great time. Nice. Congratulations. Moving can be stressful, but it also is a great time for new beginnings. So I hope that it's good for you. Plus, usually when you move from hometown to the capital, you have a lot more people you could potentially meet. So I hope that you make lots of new friends. Hell yeah, dude. Oh my goodness. I sleepy boy. Yeah, YouTube still very much views my channel as a politics channel, and it's gonna take a little bit of time to get away from that. And I might have to... I've already deleted a bunch of old videos, but I might delete even more of my old videos if it helps YouTube, you know, find me the correct new audience. Ugh. Okay, let's talk about the Supreme Court now, shall we? The news from the Supreme Court. And I don't have a ton I want to add to this. I just want to express my incredulity. So Tennessee passed a law that says trans kids don't deserve access to healthcare. It's the same kind of healthcare that cis kids get for early puberty, you know, when they have precocious puberty and they take the medicine and it stops them getting it. Also, people who, like kids who have cancer sometimes take puberty blockers if that's necessary to stop their cancer from growing. Oh shoot, yeah. Moving into a flux state of light housing insecurity. Gonna be couch surfing till I find a place. No shortage of couches, so I'll be housed the whole time. It's still unstable, and I am sorry that is a situation that you are having to deal with. It's great that you have the support network where you're like, I will always have a couch to crash on, though. So I'm glad that you have that support, but it's still shitty to be like even moderately housing insecure, you know? But yeah, so this law passed in Tennessee, and it's been working its way up through the appeals courts. And one of the appeals courts said that they can't do that, and then it's been elevated up to the Supreme Court. You know, we keep getting things bumped up to the Supreme Court. And in this case, the Supreme Court did rule that basically, like, trans people don't have a unique 14th Amendment protection. Like, you know, of course, my argument is we are asking to have access to the same medication just for like slightly different reasons, like puberty pausing medication. Excuse me. And basically, I think that technically what the ruling was that like what the thing that's not allowed, it's not like, some kids can get it and some kids can't because of who they are, but rather that some diagnoses are more valid than others. So because it's like you're not allowed to give this medication for the diagnosis of gender dysphoria, meaning that the Supreme Court has now like counterminded themselves. Like they've contradicted themselves, because in some cases they say, yes, trans people are a unique group that is deserving of higher scrutiny, but then in this case they're like, no, you're not being discriminated against because you're trans. We're just saying that you can't give this medication for this particular off-label reason for the medication. Katie talked about the Supreme Court judgment on her stream earlier. I was thinking of reaching out to Katie and seeing if she would be willing to occasionally like do the YouTube thing where like when her streams, it automatically sends you to somewhere else, and see if she would be willing to like automatically send her viewers here, since we consistently stream on the same day and I keep going way after she's finished. So I do think that would be kind of a benefit, because I know that she gets like sometimes hundreds of viewers in her streams. So I might ask her about that and be like, hey, it's cool if not, but like it would really help me out to like cross-pollinate our audience a little bit more. I just don't have anything that I would be offering her for that. So anyway, obviously I think it is stupid on its face that, yeah, like a raid. Yeah, there is a YouTube function that's like a raid. So obviously I think it's ridiculous that trans people are not being considered like a discrete group. And rather that it's like, yeah, basically the Supreme Court has landed on the side of like, this isn't an intrinsic identity. This is not what they said, but basically, I don't actually know what they said. I haven't read the whole thing, but basically it's like trans people aren't a discrete group that are being discriminated against in healthcare in this instance, which carries through an implication that trans kids as a group don't exist. Like as a group, trans kids don't exist. Rather, the thing that's not allowed is diagnosing and treating trans kids with gender dysphoria. So like they're basically just legally saying gender dysphoria is not a real diagnosis that kids can get medication for. Like, again, I haven't read it, but like in effect, that is what the ruling is. Tell her I'll watch her stream sometimes if she does. And that's a cool thing because I'm a cool guy. Yeah. I don't know. She hasn't been around in such a long time. Will she know that you're one of our regular super chatters on Takis? I feel like that gets you some clout, right? If that is what they're saying, it's the most bald-faced lie I've ever heard in my life. I mean, they are like, this is the perspective that conservatives have, is like being trans isn't a discrete category group. It just is like a small fringe of people who have a dysfunctional desire to dress weird or like to change their bodies in ways that are ultimately unhealthy. Like these people do genuinely view being trans as like either a choice. Basically, it's a choice that mentally ill people make is kind of how they view it. It's like mentally ill adults choose to change themselves in this way as an expression of their dysfunction. And children being allowed to do it is unethical. And also allowing adults to do it is unethical, but sometimes they're libertarian enough to be like, but adults should have the right to do it, which we know is not true in effect because they are also trying to police adults from doing it. I only showed up because Erica brought me to the line when she was on Skep Talk one time like a year ago. Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, so Katie wouldn't know who you are in the way that, like, I know who you are because of Takis. Oh my god, my eyeballs. We blew by 69 likes and I didn't even see it. That's disappointing. Not really. I'm still appreciative for 73. That's pretty cool. Thank you, everybody, for a stream. Okay, this makes me feel a little bit of hope because like I will just consistently stream with like just chatting trans stream and then like some other little tagline at the end. And if this continues, then I'm gonna be super psyched to grow an audience who's here for just chilling, just chatting streams. Technically, they're speaking their right. Trans people aren't being discriminated by the medical community, just by the social and political ones. Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly the same as what's happened in the UK. That you can still prescribe puberty blockers for kids with precocious puberty and not for trans kids. So, like, there are some negative health effects from precocious puberty, but it's mostly stuff that doesn't happen until much later in life. And so it's like actually really fucked up because the main reason why kids get puberty blockers for precocious puberty is because it's social development. It's so that they can grow up socially with their peers rather than it being an explicit medical problem. Although precocious puberty, if it's like the earlier the puberty is, the more it's associated with like all cause mortality. But anyway, yeah, I just find that so frustrating that like we don't give cis kids puberty blockers for primarily medical reasons. We give it to them for primarily social reasons. So you actually are treating the same fucking problem, which is like this puberty is happening in a way that is socially disruptive. So shit. My belly is literally like rumbling. I might have to grab like a quick handful of pistachios or something. I just came from Jimmy and Alyssa's stream for this one. Oh, Jimmy and Alyssa did the hang up tonight, right? Because Matt's out of town. Excuse me. Oh my God. Yeah, small government, except when they're making life worse for a small group of people they don't like. Yep. Like, oh, the government shouldn't be involved, but the government is telling people like whether they can be married or not, you know? It's like stupid. Bobtail Trucker, thank you for the $20 dono. Hashtag Lux, you rock. Thank you very much. Good to see you in here, and I hope to see you tomorrow at Takis. I am going to be on Takis tomorrow with, I think, Josie. I haven't actually checked the schedule in a little bit. Let me double check that. I don't actually think Arden is there this week, so does that mean... Oh, where's the schedule? Where is it? Who's going to be producing? I don't know who's producing. So yeah, it's going to be me and Josie tomorrow. We might not have Arden producing because she's out of town or whatever. And I'm going to ask Matt if I can be on the hang up next week. I'm going to be like, hey, do you have a guest on the hang up next week or can I be on there? Please let me be on there. Honestly, I enjoy the Let's Hang Out sessions. I do too. It's so good. Okay, we are now at $160 for today's show. Thank you so much, everybody. If you want me to flex my muscles again, we just need another $40. Another $40. Puberty that is distressing versus puberty that is distressing. It's the same. Fucking true. Arden said it would be Jimmy producing. Ah, okay, cool. So I get to talk to Jimmy tomorrow. I'll tell Jimmy to put me on the other shows. No, he's not in charge of the schedule. He doesn't give a shit. I'll tell Jimmy to make Takis happen later in the day. I'll have direct access to him. I'd be like, hey, Jimmy, can we make this show happen at a time where it has like even a remote chance of being as successful as the other shows? Jesus. I love Josie. I love when her co-hosts get spicy at dishonest callers and she starts laughing. It's so cathartic. Yeah. Josie she's a much softer touch. Like she has her political approach that is a little bit less confrontational, and I understand and appreciate that. Sometimes I feel like like Ben gets a little too hot too fast, And so I am like the calm person when I'm with Ben. And like Arden and I trade off. Sometimes we trade off being spicy. With Josie, though, I'm always spicier than she is. Bobtail Trucker, thank you again. Oh my gosh. Another $50 donation says to flex your knowledge. Thank you. And Quantum Chaos with another $40. Okay, but this is the last one I can do today. I'm so disoriented. Stop it. Thank you. No, seriously. It's been I feel like donations have been down, but this is obviously it's because it comes and goes, you know. Sometimes you get a bunch and sometimes it tapers off. But thank you, Jesus Christ. That makes it $90 to add to that, which means our total is now $250 for today's stream. Thank you, everybody. That's very, very kind. Cheese and crackers. Does anybody else do that? Where you're like, I am going to say something silly instead of cussing. So instead of being like, holy shit, I'll say like cheese and crackers. Don't know. Anyway. Yeah, I really do feel like I want to work on my muscles. It's just like I was doing strength training and I think that it was wiping me out. So, oh gosh, thank you, Tanya, for a $5 super chat. Says, are you still moving west? It's still frustrating everywhere, but I worry about the safety of my trans siblings. Sorry if you answered, I was late. No worries. Oh my God, Drea, Jesus Christ. Tanya, I moved to Oregon in January. So it's been like 5 months and I'm still in Oregon now. God, Drea, $50 donations. These bucks come pre-chilled. Nice. They're nice and cool. Jeez, criminal. God. It's $300, $305 for today. I'm going to put it up there. It's completely maxed out. Look at that. There isn't a way for me to be like, I kind of almost wish that it could surpass itself, you know, it can go past itself in the showing how much money there is. Like a little graph that just gets absolutely pew, but you know. What's up, Riffs? Hello. Oh my gosh, yes, exactly, Hoot. The frustrating thing about streaming is when you're not getting donations, you're like, is it me? Am I not entertaining enough? Am I too entertaining? But in reality, it's like people just ain't got spending money sometimes. The overthinking kills me. Yeah, I try not to overthink the stream donations too much. What I overthink is, like I was saying earlier, I overthink the, like, why is this video not showing up in more people's recommended? You know, that's the thing that I get stuck on. Don't go crazy late for Takis, as the UK contingent will miss out. Yeah, I know. It's just like, we have a primarily American audience, I think, on the line. So, like, all the other shows are in the American evening. Hey, yes, exactly, Quantum Chaos. Got a bonus from my shitty Nazi boss, so I had more to spread around this week. Hell yeah, that's awesome. Oh, and of course, the uncertainty of the economy. Totally, totally. Sometimes I'll be reading a post on Reddit that's like an Am I the Asshole post or something along those lines. And people will be like, yeah, we finished paying off our house and, you know, we have separate bank accounts and I pay these bills and he pays those bills. And we go on vacation twice a year. And I'm like, what the fuck? And they're like people, and they're like allegedly people in their like 30s or something, or maybe their 40s. And I'm like, how? What do you do that you have a 6-figure income? Like what? What are you doing? It is sometimes sad when a stream gets no donations. I tend to budget bi-weekly because paycheck and all that. Yeah, no, totally. I always try to be super understanding. It's like, I don't donate to live streams, so I understand that people out there don't have money, and like sometimes rent just got paid and all this, and like I am completely understanding of that. So no pressure if anybody's ever like, oh, I wish I could donate, but I can't. Like, no worries. I'm not upset about it. I mean, I'm upset in a general sense that like I'm struggling to grow the channel because obviously I can't depend on like a grand total of 40 people to pay all my bills every month. you know, it's like I get frustrated with feeling like I don't know how to grow the channel and then reach like a better place of financial stability from the platform rewarding me for my work, you know? So ready to move to New Mexico. Hey, Ty Turner moved to New Mexico. I think there are people who are moving to New Mexico because it is trans friendly. So I completely understand y'all if you want to move. Like, I wouldn't move to New Mexico because I don't want to deal with the inevitable droughts that there are going to be in that part of the country. But you know, more power to you. Do whatever you're going to do. My sister is planning a trip to Portugal and a trip to the Caribbean next year, and I am jelly. Yo, yes. Not that I really want to go to the fucking Caribbean, but I'm just saying, like, how do you have that much money? It's like, that's the extremes, though. You have people who are like, I am completely fine. We paid off our house. We're having a dispute about how, like, my partner spends thousands of dollars versus me spending less money on things, and then he wants to ask me for money for things. Like, that's the kind of shit that you'll read about on Am I the Asshole? And obviously, some of these things are fake. We know this. We know some of these things are fake on the Reddit Am I the Asshole posts. People just be writing, creative writing exercise on the Reddit Am I the Asshole? But yeah, I can't relate to those kind of problems. And then like it feels like everybody else is food insecure or like couch surfing or something. Like there's just like feels like there's no in between. Ooh, uncomfy going to Ty Turner's queer retreat next month. I hope you have fun. That sounds good. I feel you about the confusion about other people having things like houses and vacations and stuff. Every time I go to a car show, my first thought is, oh my God, how do you afford that? And my second thought is, they're in debt, aren't they? Fair. Maybe that's the difference in these lifestyles is like, I'm less willing to go into huge amounts of debt. I'm like, I owe $700 on my credit card from when I paid the taxes still. And that is a huge stressor to me. And I can't imagine being in more debt than that. Ooh, congrats, Patrick. Yeah, the Storm Chaser channel has been blowing up. That's amazing. Ooh, yeah. Been wanting to donate, but just lost my job a couple weeks ago. Gotta be smart. Yes. Be smart, plan ahead, you know. I own a townhouse, but I don't make enough to break into an actual house. Portland is horrific for housing prices. Yeah, I would not try to buy a house in the Portland area or like the Portland metro area. I feel like anywhere in the general vicinity of Portland would probably be insane for housing prices. Not that housing prices in general here aren't pretty high, but yeah, I mean, wasn't Kitty like predicting that there would be a housing market bubble pop in the next year or two, like that the market is going to potentially like dip suddenly? The difference between making it and not making it is basically just a willingness to be in debt and pray you don't lose your income while you're paying it off. No shit. Did you get involved with a local community garden? Yes, I did. This one doesn't really have as much mutual space as so much as it is like you have your own individual plot. I haven't been out there for like 3 weeks or maybe even longer than that because I don't have my car during the week. And like, I'm not going to go to the garden like after my partner gets home from work. Maybe I'll have to. And it's just a little bit too far to like walk there and then work the garden in the way that it needs to be worked and then like come home. So I really haven't done much with it. There's a bunch of stuff in there that's like volunteers from years past, like stuff someone else planted originally. And I do want to try to get out there this weekend if I can. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to, but I'm hoping to do that. Despite the urge to be smart, I decided to trade some stuff I have for a guitar I have wanted for like 20 years. So that makes me feel better about not working. At least you got something to do, you know? I'm genuinely sitting here thinking, like, should I sell my guitars? Because I don't really play them enough and I need money. So I haven't like actually made any movement on that. I've just like, it just occurred to me today is like, should I start like getting rid of some of my stuff? Oh no. Glamour says, I have friends who are still trying to have kids. One couple did right at the end of 2024. I have nothing against them, but I still think, why? Kids are so expensive. I mean, yeah, it's a biological imperative. If people did just straight up didn't do it because they didn't have money, then we would have like dramatically way fewer people next generation, and it would be real tough. Good night, Quantum Chaos. Thank you again very much for donations. And if you'll be at Takis tomorrow, then I'll see you then. I would love to move to the Northern Cali / Southern Oregon area, but I can't afford it right now. So back to Illinois I go. I'll just be happy when I can get out of Iowa. Arden, who is my co-host on the Transatlantic Call-In Show, she wants to move to Illinois, and Pritzker seems like a guy who is a decent person. He's the governor there. I have family who live in Illinois. It's a good place to move. Like, it's a good place. So, and it's less expensive. I would say Illinois is a good option. Riff says, I've been playing a long time and I would be wary about getting rid of gear. Once it's gone, you will rediscover the need to play. Ask me how I know. Yeah. I just feel like I need to go pick it up more often. Like, it's literally right there and I don't pick it up to play enough. I'm okay with people not having kids. I mean, I'm fine. Yeah, but I'm not like, it's like, it would be a population drop that would seriously impact the economy and the scale of production. This is why the mass death event from COVID is bad, is because we have supply chain disruptions for essential things. And so, yeah, I can kind of understand when a country is at this level of like, this is how much we produce every year. We have this many people. We need to distribute resources across a huge amount of space. Then if there is suddenly a drop in the birth rate where you're like, oh shit, in 20 years, we're not going to have enough laborers to make sure that people are manufacturing and shipping insulin, then yeah, I mean, I could see that being an issue. Oh man, I haven't had spaghetti in forever. The people I live with don't really like spaghetti, which is a huge fucking bummer because it means that I just never eat it. And to the extent that I hadn't even thought about it in like months until you just said something. Like, I haven't seriously considered like, oh yeah, spaghetti is delicious and I love it. Lux, maybe you need to play your guitar on stream. I don't actually know if it even picks up on stream. Like, my microphone is specially designed to pick up my voice, like to pick up voices. So I don't actually know if it would. Oh my god, it just slipped completely off my shoulder. I don't actually know if you can hear it at all, but we'll find out. Oh, you can. Oh, you couldn't hear it before. Anyway, that's a song called With You by I Fight Dragons. And it's like the one, it's not the only thing I know how to play on guitar, but it is the first thing I do when I pick up my guitar. Patrick says, there's a massive supply chain disruption coming. Because of how we have defunded NOAA, our ability to forecast weather long term is ending at the end of the year, and it's going to be a disaster. Yeah. Looking forward to it. Motivation to play is a completely different beast to overcome. I don't know how to inspire people to play more, as I have always been compelled to do so. I've missed a lot of hangouts as a result of this obsession. Yeah, I don't. I don't know, man. I just really struggle to want to do things. It sucks because it's like I want to be able to play guitar, but I usually just have a hard time like getting myself to even consider that playing my guitar is an option. It's slightly quiet but perfectly clear. Cool. I do also, this is it has like Um, where is it? It's over here. This one has electrics in it, so I could literally my Go XLR has the same plug, so I could hypothetically like record myself playing guitar on with my Go XLR, but I don't know. Like I haven't tried it. Let's see. I don't know. I haven't been practicing it enough, so I can't remember all the things that I used to know. You know? Hold on. Wait, do I even remember this? Nope. There you go. You get a little bit of guitar. I'm gonna put it back away now, though. It's like I'm capable of using it, but I don't have the calluses to do it for longer than a few minutes. Trying to make out the fretboard inlay. It's just like swirly, like plant kind of thing. It's kind of hard to see near the neck because the oils from my fingers have started to discolor the wood in that inlay. So it's like less visible at the top now. Now we just need some crackling fire. True. Yeah, in 20 years' time, the few of us left will be serving our AI overlords. Maybe they will need some bards. Yeah. Been playing for 25 years and cannot chicken pick at all. That's my prefer. It's the only way I want to play my guitar is like the finger style. It's really great because you kind of put your left hand just like in one spot, and then you're like all the action is on the right hand. So it's kind of fun. It's cool. I bought a melodica a while back. A melodica? What is a melodica? The discoloration is how the guitar gets prettier, but I can't see the design as well anymore. It's like the plant part is like a light brown and it's staining it dark brown with the oils from my skin, so you can't see it as well. It's like, I guess maybe if it continues to get darker, then it'll be pretty. I don't know. That guitar has a nice warm tone to it, probably a lot to do with the mic EQ, but it still sounded nice. It probably also has to do with the strings that I chose, because I specifically use a set of strings that is like more medium, like less bright, which, you know, makes it a little bit harder on your fingers when you're holding down the strings. But yeah, I was very pleased with that. It would be a bummer to sell it, but also like, do I need that guitar or do I need $300? Like, I don't know. I'm left-handed, but I play right-handed, so my right hand is just a club with a pick attached. And my lefty does all the work. Yeah, fair enough. Mr. Kitty being a weirdo. Yeah, I need to look up what is a melodica. I don't know what that is. Oh, okay. A handheld free reed instrument similar to a pump organ or harmonica, featuring a musical keyboard on top and is played by blowing air. Oh, okay. That's interesting. This kind of reminds me of it's like a digital version of bagpipes, if that makes any sense. Like the fact that you blow into it and then you've got like keys and you make it produce a sound. That's fun. You know how to have a guitar and $300. No, that's true. That's true. It's like a recorder with a keyboard. Yeah, I wanted to get an acoustic with an electric pickup because I wanted it to, because I wanted to have the option, you know, if I wanted to make my own music or play my own music. I've known how to play for almost 20 years and never got out of the intermediate player valley. I don't even feel like I'm an intermediate guitar player. I can play those two things and that's it. Okay, a melodica. Okay. A melodica is between an accordion and a harmonica. It's a harmonica with an integrated keyboard. The accordion kazoo. Okay, that's fun. I have been one. You know, you said earlier we should have a crackling fire with this acoustic guitar. Um, I have been really wanting to have a fire recently, but I think that I mean I don't know. Maybe this is the last chance if I want to have like a summer fire because the dry season is starting soon, and I think that they may have already started going like there are rules about burning and you can't do it. If I would really love to go to a day camp and just like have a fire for a few hours, but that is a frivolous pleasure of mine that is not worth the risk if we're in fire risk season. So it's a trade-off. Dickie's beer reviews. Cheers, indeed. Cheers. I don't have any beer, but I do have some water I'll drink. I have accepted being an intermediate player at everything I do because focusing long enough for mastery is impossible. Yeah, I don't ever think I'm going to be a master at anything, and I'm kind of okay with that. I would rather be intermediate at a lot of different things. Anybody have any weekend plans? I had plans for Saturday, but I don't think I do anymore. So I don't actually know what I'm doing this weekend. I also don't think I'm gonna have my car, so I might I don't know. I might try to walk to the garden and see if I can do some shit there on Saturday. Fire rings are fairly cheap, just need a garden hose at the ready. Ah, but I do not have any outdoor space that I can use like that. Like even if you have a like nice fire pit in the yard, sometimes like because a lot of buildings up here have to have fire insurance, so like for that reason if you're renting especially, the homeowners or landlords or whatever will not let you have a fire like just as part of your lease agreement, which sucks. Soft Daydream says going to the Bahamas, can't wait to be jet lagged. Be safe, wear a fucking mask on the airplane or I'll kill you. Not really. But COVID might. Ha 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 ha. It's not very funny, but I felt clever for saying that. Might have missed the boat for the summer on having a fire. Better to wait for a slightly chilly October night after the rains come, but it is still false autumn. Okay. I'm probably an advanced clarinet player. Yeah. I would really love to get out my ocarina again. I just am so worried about like playing too loudly. Green screen and ambient crackling sounds. Yes. Maybe that will satisfy my. Maybe I should see if my app that has soundscapes. I should see if it has a crackling fire one. I know. Yeah, this weekend is going to be like 59 degrees and slightly rainy out. It would be a great time to have a fire. Yeah. I wonder if I should see if there's somebody I could go, or I don't know. I try not to go places on the weekend because of, there's just like so much more traffic and everything. But I kind of wonder if maybe on like Saturday afternoon I could go somewhere and like just chill for a little bit. That might be a good idea. Ooh, Glamour has a friend that wants to do dinner for his birthday this weekend. Nice. The problem with playing music is there is no real way to quantify skill. I mean, how is playing a million notes at lightning speed any more valid than a few chords slowly? I mean, I think that the difference is that the player who plays slowly can't do the other thing. Like, if somebody plays real fast, they can play slow, whereas somebody who plays slow but can't play fast has fewer skills. And so I think that we quantify that as like one being better than the other in terms of like this person is capable of doing more with the instrument. But I understand, like, you know, when it comes to making music, then yeah, it's more about like what sounds good and what evokes emotion and or what makes people laugh or whatever, what's most engaging. You know, there's a million different ways to gauge like how good music is, but as far as like mastery or expertise at an instrument, I do think that that is something that's more qualified in terms of like the range of skills that you have with it. I still want to hit up the Multiverse Ren Fair, but that is next weekend and I can't get anyone to go with. Ah, oh, bummer. Yeah, we had a good time at the Ren Fair. It was nice. It's ironic because playing slow on a wind instrument is almost harder than playing fast. Oh, interesting. I didn't know. I didn't really think about that, actually. There's technical skill, there's musicality, and the intersection of the two is what I would consider to be a measure of advanced musicianship. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, like if there is, you might have excellent technical skill, but if you don't have like style or musicality, then like, yeah. Or like if you, and like playing an instrument is very different than being able to write music for an instrument, you know? How did the Oregon Ren Fair compare to the Kansas one? Yeah, so I grew up in Kansas, always went to the Kansas City Renaissance Festival. The biggest difference between the one at Kansas City versus the Oregon Renaissance Festival in Canby is that the one in Kansas City is a permanent location. And like they do other events there throughout the year, but they're always like Renaissance themed events. Or like the Kegs and Eggs happens out there. So the Oregon Ren Fair in Canby is a fairgrounds that is only temporary buildings, like or you know, somebody maybe drags in a cart, but or like things are you know, there's little tent things like the gazebo things. So that's one of the big differences. The Oregon Ren Fair is smaller as far as its actual footprint. I mean, in most ways, it felt very similar. Because, like, okay, there's music, there's shows happening, there's a lot of people, like, looking at stuff and buying stuff. It was tighter. Like, the corridors were tighter because of, like, obviously, if you have, like, this permanent installation with these really wide spaces between the buildings, we just didn't have space for that. So, yeah, I mean, it was, like, pretty much like a normal Ren Fair, just smaller and not permanent. We didn't end up eating any food there. We didn't even go look at the food. Yeah, we didn't stop and watch any shows either. We pretty much just like walked around and looked at stuff and bought stuff and like hung out with each other. And that was basically the entire experience. So I don't know if I'm going to go every year. It might be like, I'll go next year if I have like $200 I want to spend. But, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we didn't bother having food while we were there. Wait, what? MJ says, it's supposed to be crazy hot over here for the next few days. Probably not that hot by your standards, but people seem to celebrate heat waves. And I'm like, climate crisis? I mean, I think that people are like, there was, what was it? I think it might have been last winter in Kansas in January. There was a whole week where it was like 50 degrees, 52, 55 degrees Fahrenheit. And it was like wildly unacceptable. But of course, people are like, oh yeah, we can go for a walk. You know, we can go to the park. We can get out this weekend. Let's go do something. And I'm like, you should feel terrible. Like this should be an existential crisis moment for everybody. We should think, oh, this is a catastrophe. But people tend to think in terms of those immediate things. those immediate, like, can I get out and do something? Oh, how lovely it is outside. Whereas, yeah, I experienced that as like a horror event. Yeah, we've got places where it's like the most humid day in history. It's fucking insane. We have free earplugs at the merch booth and on stage. People ignore them at their own risk. The last concert I went to, I had no idea was going to be as loud as it was. And I almost certainly have tinnitus because of that show that I went to. I'm not sure if the earplugs were free. It's like I saw the earplugs and then I didn't get some. I should have put them on. I should have, like, after I realized how loud the show was going to be, I should have gone and gotten some, even if they cost money. Was there something else news-wise that we needed to talk about today? Somebody put something in the stream recommendations channel, I believe. What was it? Oh, yeah, it's the passports thing. Okay, so we do have a little bit of good news with the passports thing. Obviously, recently we've been like, oh, this trans person received a passport that has the wrong gender marker on it, despite the fact that they changed their shit forever ago. So a federal judge has just granted class action status to trans people looking to update their passports, which means that there will be, for a time period here, there will be a window open to update your passports with the correct gender marker. There were like a couple people suing, and initially the injunction only extended to those two individuals. But yeah, it has been upgraded basically to a class action lawsuit where any trans person should be able to get their gender marker updated on their passport. And it also, there is a means of, I don't know the right word for this. If you have recently gotten your passport and it presently has the wrong gender marker on it because they decided to fuck you over and change it, you can have it fixed. Like if there was a mistake within the last 6 months, you're allowed to have it fixed for free, I think. So you can get the correct one even if you just renewed your stuff and they gave it to you wrong. What's up, Rowboat? Welcome to the chat. People in Oregon do seem to recognize that this early heat is a problem. I used to go sledding at Busch Park in Salem when I was a kid. One year I went snowshoeing in Busch Park. Like in the spring? Oh, are you just saying... No, you're saying that there used to be like snow in the winter and there isn't snow in the winter anymore. I guess I kind of assumed that there would not be snow in the winter here. Is this federal level? Well, I don't know. It's a district court. It's like a federal judge in Massachusetts. So that is not... It has to do with a federal application. Like, it's the district court, District of Massachusetts. It has federal binding. Like, did you guys see that, what is it, Pete Hegseth just said that, like, so he was like, what will you say if, like, if a district court decides that you can't do this thing? And he was like, well, we'll see about what the Supreme Court says. He's like, I don't think was it something about Iran? He was like, I don't think a district court should be deciding what we do with Iran. So, but we'll see when the Supreme Court gets it. So it's like, they think that they should be able to ignore any court except the Supreme Court. But they also are like leaving the door open for ignoring the Supreme Court if they decide to do something. Or like if they tell them they can't do something. Do you do international news spots? Oh, yeah, I just want to be clear. Like, I don't really do news specifically anymore. It's come up. Like, I just felt like we needed to at least touch on some of that today. But I'm very explicitly moving away from doing news all the time. And that includes international news. Like, I just can't. And like, even before that, like, when I was still primarily doing news and politics, I was focusing on what's going on in the US right now because it's like, it's fucked up and crazy every single week. But yeah, I'm trying to move away from doing that. Ro, I know you just got in here. I have been trying to switch to doing like, let me talk about queer movies instead of queer news and politics. Given the lockdown on having to use Real ID or passports now to fly, I think it is a good idea to get your passport, especially if you are forced to flee. Yeah, I do have my Real ID, which is why I'm not like super worried about the voting shit. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff like that I don't know. I got to get my documents in order regardless. And I'm thinking about changing my legal name again, but I think that I should probably talk to a lawyer and be like, what would I have to change? Like, how much is it going to cost me to update all these fucking documents to change my name again? It was easy when I was 18. True, Emma. Hey. Hello. Yes, don't forget to like the stream and hydrate. Yes, if you haven't hit like on the stream yet, please do. We want more people in here for the Just Chatting Hangout streams. Having no snow on the mountains is disturbing. Yeah, no, for sure. Kitty says, I don't know, all this might have something to do with blocking too many wetlands out of existence with too many dams. People are always like, oh, but we let the water through at the same rate. No, you don't, because it takes weeks or months of a messed up flow that will disrupt hundreds of miles of downstream tributaries. Wetlands and creek systems respirate a ton of water into the air, and rain needs water in the air to exist. True. Yeah, wetlands also act like swamp coolers for a huge bubble around them. Yeah, it's evaporative cooling. Having gone through most of it this last year, it wasn't so bad to update gender markers and such. Issue might be birth certificate. But I mean things like I got married, and that's when I changed my name. So like my marriage certificate has my current name on it and my old name. So like if I go get that updated, so to make sure that my marriage is in my current name, is it going to have like, is there going to be a record of the name that I have currently on that, or is it just going to be like birth name, this new name? You know what I mean? And like my car title, I just paid for a new Oregon title for my car. Am I going to have to get that reissued and pay another $200? That's what I mean. Especially disturbing to not have snow on Rainier, which is the tallest in the Continental, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, yeah. I still haven't seen Rainier. I still haven't gone up there. Obviously, I've seen Mount Hood, you know. But, you know. Yeah, displaced beavers. There is conservation work in this part of the world where they're trying to bring back beavers. It's important. It's important work. Are we going to get to 100 likes today? That's crazy. We haven't gotten to 100 likes in a long time. I feel good that the algorithm is rewarding my honesty about this being a just chatting stream. And like, you know, maybe it has something to do with this. I don't know. Do people want to listen to cute femmes more than they want to listen to angry trans masks? I don't know. No money, mo problems. True. Yeah, I love when people are going off about how it's like, oh, money can't make you happy. It's like literally money would solve so many of my problems. But that's, I think, true of pretty much everybody. Pretty much everybody who's not already rich. In the 50s in Idaho, they would relocate beavers by airdrop. Wow. That's fun. That's fun. Yeah, what are my plans for the rest of the week? I need to finish watching I Saw the TV Glow and get my notes together for that. Ideally, I would love to record my review on Friday, like if I can get my shit together and get that finished by Friday. And then I want to have that uploaded by next week. So I'll have to work on editing and, multiple thumbnails and everything between now and then. So that's kind of, I guess, my main plan between now and when I'm going to see you all again on Sunday. Rainier is kind of sad now. The glacier that used to drop down past Paradise Lodge is now all but gone. Fucking, yeah, I know. It's so sad. Dude, I've been seeing articles and conversation this summer about like, oh, this generation might be the last generation to see fireflies, like to see lightning bugs. And I don't know what it is, but that really upsets me like way more than most of this other stuff. I mean, like, obviously it's upsetting that we are experiencing a time of environmental decay. And like, I know that there are less insects now than there were when I was a kid, just based on like when you're driving on the highway and how much gunk do you get on your fucking windshield from bugs. And it's definitely like bad, but it just upsets me so much more. It was one of the things that upset me about moving when I was going through my grieving process of like, I have no choice but to move out of Kansas and move somewhere else because it's not safe for me as a trans person. The fact that there are no fireflies here really was like an emotional blow that I don't think I've entirely gotten over. Because I wish that I had a reason to go back to Kansas in the summer. I don't have anything going on in Kansas in the summer. Renaissance Festival isn't until September. So by then, the fireflies aren't really doing their thing anymore. It's more of a June, July thing. And I'm like, am I just not going to ever get to see fireflies in person again? Like it was very sad for me. And then now getting hit with the idea that like they might actually go extinct in the next couple years. I'm like, that's really not good. Like I'm going to cry about that. I'm upset. Peacheek says, I'm basically completely black-pilled when it comes to climate change. It seems like it'll never be addressed, sadly. So I think we are on a trajectory that we are not going to change. So I guess in that sense, I am also black-pilled. But my response to that is to go, fuck you, I'm going to make sure that I'm okay. So I moved specifically to a place where there is going to be an increase in agricultural output rather than where many places it's going to decrease. So like there's going to be a longer growing season, better conditions for agriculture here. And the conditions are already very good for agriculture here. Like the Willamette Valley, there's farms everywhere. If you live in a city, you drive for fucking 15 minutes toward the edge of town and like boom, suddenly you're in the middle of a field. So, yeah, that's my response. But I guess maybe that doesn't mean that I'm not black-pilled. Like I am kind of like, yeah, it's a train and it's not stopping. It's going in one direction and it's far too late for the brakes. You know how long it takes a train to slow down? Like it's too late for us to pump the brakes now and have it fix things. Having never seen a firefly soon, I may never get the chance. Yeah, true. Yep. Fuck lawn care. Cutting grass kills fireflies. Yeah. Grass consumes a lot of water in summer. Let it brown. Yeah, let's plant more natives, please. The pesticides kill the larvae when they need 1 or 2 years underground. People leaving on porch lights also confuses their mating. Fairy lights are bad in your yard for them. If you plant a clover lawn that is regional to that area, that can be good for them. Yeah. It's like, yeah, we're just on this trajectory and like with, our fireflies about to go extinct, like unless something dramatically changes, probably. And I don't think things are going to dramatically change for the better. Things might dramatically change for the worse. But, maybe I am black-pilled. I don't feel like I'm going to lie down and rot about it, but I am fully like, yeah, no, nothing is going to happen in a good way for maybe the rest of our lives. Sometimes we get fireflies in Chicago. Ooh, that's nice. I like that. If anybody wants to take pictures of fireflies this summer and put them in the Discord, and then I can feel like something is good in the world for like 10 seconds, that would be great. That would be cool. It would be nice to feel like everything is not terrible. They could count how many monarchs made it back to Mexico in 2023. Have not yet heard about the 2024 numbers. Oof. Yeah. I feel like monarchs are one of those things that it's like people have latched onto them because they're pretty, in the way that people latch onto pandas because they're pretty, when pandas don't actually serve much of a role in their ecosystems. And like monarchs, I wonder too. I'm like, I don't know if they're good pollinators more than average, or like, if it's mostly just because they're easily recognizable and pretty that people care about what's happening to the monarchs specifically. But like, it's basically like, do any other bugs eat the milkweed that you plant for monarchs, or you're like literally just helping the monarch butterflies? Pardon my language, but never underestimate people's ability to fuck things up. That's true, Dapper Tamarin. I agree. I mean, already, if we were to stop emissions 100% today, things would still continue to get hotter for the next 10 years. Like that's where we're at. And emissions are not going to suddenly stop tomorrow 100%. So yeah, we're just on this trajectory where like the global economy is going to collapse by like 2050. So, and those are based on predictions that were made in 1972 that we are still on track for. They predicted in 1972 at MIT that if we didn't fix shit with regards to climate change, that the global economy would collapse by 2050, and the global population will probably dip back down to 2 billion. By that, I mean 5 billion people will die by 2100. And we are on track for that predictive model still that was made in 1972. So unless things dramatically change tomorrow, we are basically just on a train toward like literally the majority of human beings dying on this planet. I'm not just saying that. Like, this is not me being a doomer. That's the prediction that was made, and that's the track that we're on, and if things continue this direction, that's where it's going to end. Ah, yes, that's true. My cat is super duper cute and drools on me when I pet him. My cat doesn't drool, but he has been a very sweet boy lately. Actually, my thigh is all kinds of torn up right now from him being like, when they do that. Monarchs do serve a role when they migrate. Many things eat the caterpillars before they become toxic. They also move silica around in their wings. Oh, okay, cool. Sorry, MJ. Sorry. I know, I did it again. Dang, we are really close to 100 likes today. Uncomfy, are you doing watercolors? They say I goofed up. I did not wait for the layer of paint to dry, so the flowers and grass got muddled. I had to use water and tissues to lift the paint and reapply the background colors. Now I have to wait for that to dry. I do the same thing when I'm doing watercolors. It's like hard to tell when shit's actually dry. Monarchs are known as an indicator species, and when they disappear, it would be a sign that other more important species might follow. Sure, yeah, like it's easy to see monarch butterflies, and so when things happen to them. Yo, I've been following for a while this nonprofit organization called Xerces, and I've been following it for like a couple months, and I only just saw a post about the Xerces butterfly, and I was like, oh, they're named after an extinct species of butterfly. That is a clever name, but also sad. And then I just didn't know that. Amazing. It's cheap gouache. First time painting with it, and the paint is kind of ass. Okay, fair enough. The No Kings protests have given me slightly more faith in humanity than I previously had. Maybe the future isn't so bad. The problem is that those people on the ground don't have the power to fix the things that are leading us down this path. And that most of those people probably still want to live a lifestyle that requires us to continue doing the things that are putting us on this path. You know? Like when we had Kamala Harris just now trying to be president, trying to be the Democratic president, and we think of the Democratic Party as being the pro party, like the pro environment party. They're the people who care about climate change. They're the people who are going to do something about global warming, right? Like this is the idea that we have in our heads. But she was pro fracking and she wanted to expand the United States oil industry, the domestic oil industry. So people wanted her not just because she was not Trump, but because they thought she was going to do good things. And she had a right-wing approach to energy. She had the opportunity during that debate to say, I want to invest in solar and alternative energy because that will create jobs. No, what she said was she wants to expand fracking and oil. So all of these Democrat voters, and I do draw a distinction, there's a difference between Democrats who are politicians and Democrats who are voters, right? But even the Democratic voters, they want to keep their cars. They don't want to invest in, like, they don't want things like UBI. Like, they don't want things like expanded public transit. They're like, oh, sure, the idea of the buses is a good idea, but I would never ride a bus because I'm rich and I don't want to be around homeless people. Or not even rich, but like, you know, if you have stable housing, then yeah, you do kind of, there is a tendency to feel like homeless people are kind of scary and like that but there is also like a superiority complex where you're like, yeah, but I don't need to ride the bus because I have a car. They still want to go on vacations. They still want to ride airplanes. Like they still want a gas stove in their kitchen. Like that's the thing is like, even if you were to look at all of the people who went to the No Kings protests, those people still want to live a lifestyle that is going to kill 5 billion people. Yeah, but Luxander, it's precisely that kind of clever triangulation that let Kamala win the election. Yeah, for sure. Riffs also says, never mind that the No Kings protest was full of people who would probably despise direct action, like what happened at the DHS building in Tukwila here in Washington. I'm not familiar with what happened with that, but these are people who are like, it's like the No Kings protest, and my friend Alora pointed this out. We had the protests against ICE in LA, which was not just a protest or not even really a protest. It was just like, we're literally fighting to keep you from stealing people. But then the No Kings protest happens and it's like, is there still something happening in LA? Is ICE still trying to pick people up? Like, I haven't heard anything about it in days. And the kind of people who attended the No Kings protests, I feel like, are the kind of people who would be really uncomfortable with the kind of tactics that become necessary in situations like with LA, where like, you do have to like physically get in front of cars. You do have to risk getting run over. You do have to like de-arrest people. So yeah, I kind of think that the No Kings protest is probably more full of people who are like they're the beginning and end of their thought process is like, I want to make a statement, you know? Last I heard, the guardsmen were sitting around with nothing to do. Yeah, it's like, has ICE backed off in LA? Like, that's really the question. Bobtail Trucker says, even if we humans expire, Mother Nature will take care of all the havoc we caused and bring it back to a luscious green and blue flying speck in the cosmos. I appreciate that sentiment. I am concerned, however, that it's a way of mollifying the amount of death that is going to happen between here and then. Because, like, we're not just going to kill ourselves off the planet. There are, like, we are in the middle of a mass extinction event, and life on Earth will never be the same. And, you know, I do appreciate that, like, you know, even if humans all do die, that there will be some other species that live on. That I don't think that that is something to feel better about, if that makes any sense. And I'm not trying to be rude or anything. It kind of reminds me of when people are like, oh, well, you know, the Sandy Hook massacre was a tragedy, but at least those children are with Jesus now. It's like, no, there is no silver lining to this situation. There is, like, do not try to spin this as a good way, as a good in any capacity. So I kind of feel similarly with, you know, don't try to spin it like, oh, the world will go on. Like, we will have irrevocably changed life as we know it. And since this is the only place where we know that there is life, it's like truly we are permanently altering life as far as we know, in the only fucking place that it exists in the entire universe. Yeah, it's gonna get better after like 10 million years. 10 to 20 million years and it will get better. Is it nihilistic to say whatever happens, happens? Yeah, I mean, I think that that's kind of like definitionally nihilistic, right? To be like, I don't care and this doesn't mean anything to me. I do understand it as like adaptive. You know, you can't care about every single thing. I have basically come to the conclusion that like nothing I do or say is going to stop what's happening in Gaza, so I need to stop thinking about it. Which is, I guess, a version of whatever happens, but it's like what's happening is going to happen, I guess, is where I'm at on that. But like there are people like Greta Thunberg showing up and like getting herself arrested to prove a point on the international stage. Like she rides a boat everywhere when she goes anywhere internationally. Like she doesn't ride planes because she cares about climate, you know? I do not have that, I don't think. I have whatever she has. Changing the planet for the worse is fine if we all die is not the enlightened position you think it is. Yeah, that's fair, Riffs. Bobtail Trucker says, an electric car is fine for around town trips and slow vacations. As a driver that helps deliver products, driving up to 600 miles a day isn't practical charging / range. Well, that's kind of what I mean, Bobtail Trucker, when I'm saying like these, you know, the people who are showing up to the No Kings protests, they want to continue living a lifestyle that is destroying the planet, right? So if we say it's necessary to deliver products 600 miles from where they were produced, we are making a lifestyle choice that is destructive to the environment. And like, so I'm of the opinion where I'm like, I'm willing to accept that maybe I don't ever need to eat chocolate again in my life. Chocolate is, it takes a ton of labor to create, to produce, to process. It's an internationally shipped product. It is often made with slave labor and exploitative practices, and it contributes to climate change by being something that has to be delivered halfway across the world. I am willing, for the sake of climate and for the sake of human betterment, I'm willing to never eat chocolate again. But I think that there are a lot of, and like this is just one example, you know, where it's like other things, like, are you willing to never go to a football game again because, you know, they have these necessary massive stadiums and it's not realistic for us to keep producing those things. Or like the parking lots, you know, am I willing to like stop driving my car and instead drive a bicycle? Like, you know, I think that we are so accustomed to the industrial lifestyle, or like the lifestyle that industrialism has allowed us to live, that it's really hard to imagine like that everything you consume or purchase mostly should come from within a couple hundred miles of where you live, you know, or that it should be a really rare and expensive commodity otherwise. in the way that, like, okay, do you ever think about the fact that, like, for some reason citrus is associated with Christmas? You ever wonder why that is? Like, why is it that some people take um dried orange peel, or, like, they'll make a cross section of an orange, in all these slices, and then they'll dry them and, like, hang them on the Christmas tree. Why is citrus associated with Christmas? It's because the fruit would be delivered by ship to places where Christmas was a thing, like in Europe, Um, and so there is a lasting impression of, like, citrus is associated with Christmas because the dried fruit would make it over the course of months to Europe. And, like, I don't think that it would be bad to return to that, where it's like, yeah, we don't get coffee in the readily available way that it is readily available now. Maybe it is a rare thing. Chocolate used to be something that, like, only rich people could get because it cost a lot to have it shipped halfway across the world when you're on a fucking wooden boat. Citrus, yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm coming at this from more of a pagan thing, but citrus is associated with the solstice as far as, like, a pagan thing. And I have seen some, like, Christmas situations where, like, yeah, there's, like, dried lemon, or, like, Vassal. If you think of Vassal, which is like like, Vassal is a wintertime drink, a warming drink, and it's made with apples and oranges and lemons. This reminds me of vegans that drink cashew milk even though it's horrible to harvest and the workers are mistreated. Yeah, I think with cashews, it's that there is, like, something about the fruit has, like, a caustic compound that can basically burn the hands of the workers, and it would be pretty easy to solve if you just gave them appropriate gloves, but you don't give them appropriate gloves, so they just burn the shit out of their hands all the time. It also reminds me of, like, almond milk, because almond milk is terrible for the environment because it's so much water to produce one almond. Like, it's just not a very efficient industry. Kitty says, from my life, citrus is definitely a holiday tradition. Rich families put an orange in the stocking a long time ago, and it became a tradition. And you also have the chocolate orange. You get the chocolate orange it's like chocolate with orange flavoring, and it comes in, like, it has little separated, like, the segments of an orange. Yeah, and again, the reason is because those fruits would be harvested in the fall, and then they would take months to reach Britain, which is where, like, the Christmas traditions were being established at the time. Soy milk better than almond milk, IMO. True. I don't like almond milk. I don't like the taste of it. It's bad for the environment. Soy milk is really good for you. It has pretty high protein. It's like just pretty much good for you. I drink organic, unsweetened soy milk. Out here gunning for soy milk. Also, soy milk, it can split, though, is the problem. Like, if you pour your soy milk into tea that you just brewed and is still almost boiling temperature, your soy milk will split, and it's real gross. Oat milk is good, but it lacks a lot of the nutritional value that you can get from soy. Oat milk, I think, is the most similar to cow's milk in texture, especially if you get extra creamy oat milk. But yeah, it just doesn't have the same nutritional value as a soy milk, which is why I don't drink it anymore. But it is a good option. I wonder if the world will get better or worse once America is no longer the main superpower. I don't know. I think the problem is that if America falls, then that means, like, pretty much all of the other countries are also going to be in shambles. So I don't even think that there will be a global superpower at that point. Goat milk, but not practical for vegans. I've never had straight goat milk, but I did eat a goat milk cheese recently because my partner and I got charcuterie, and it was, like, the best cheese I have ever had. It was delicious. It was so good. It was crazy. Yeah, oat milk has decent fiber. It just doesn't have a lot in the way of, like, protein or other macros and vitamins and stuff. But yeah. oat milk has decent fiber, but what I could do is just make overnight oats with oats and use soy milk in that. And then I'm getting the fiber from the oats, but also the protein from the soy, you know? Anyway, oh my gosh. Guys, my voice is really, really tired. And I'm ready to go off now. I'm going to maybe snack a little bit ahead of dinner and enjoy the rest of my evening. I will see you all on Takis tomorrow. Look out for the Discord notification. And then I'll stream on Sunday as per usual. So yeah, please come hang out with Takis tomorrow. Be good to yourselves in the meantime. Have a good rest of your night. And I'll see you next time. Yeah. Be good. Or at least don't get caught.